What's up, chicken butt? I hope everybody is having an excellent Saturday night for the comic book Babylon, because we're babbling on a little bit. I forgot to turn my light on. Hope everybody's doing well. I told you guys I'm starting with or without Dustin on time, but we're starting late. So it's been a fun day. It's been an interesting day. I got on Whatnot for the first time, actively buying something in God knows how long. We'll talk about it because I'm both happy but very sad. But yeah, it is what it is. Hope everybody's here for a wonderful Saturday night. We're going to be talking Silver Age comic books and some other things we're going to talk about. Hopefully, it'll be a fun time. And after a certain point in time, we're going to be bringing on a guest to kind of talk about Silver Age comic books just a little bit. So hopefully, Dustin will be on any second now. But for now, we're going to chat a little bit. I got a video coming out tomorrow. Yeah, we'll let it go out tomorrow. Just finished editing it. And it's about this new Green Goblin, Gold Goblin Marvel's doing. So that'll be really interesting if you're into that kind of thing. But it is what it is. So what's up, man? How are you doing, Ruben? Dan, sounds good. So anything interesting happen in the comic book world? Not so much. Not so much right now. We spent a couple hours yesterday talking a little bit about room setups and stuff like that. We spent quite some time kind of chatting about those things and kind of going through other people's setups and what that looks like. And so I am, still not 100% certain what I'm going to do with the room. It was a lot about kind of the room setup here and what I want to do with it and what do I not want to do with it. And I just don't know, man. I just don't know what I'm going to do. I'm actually thinking about possibly taking down these last two here, putting in a couple of more bookcases and just bookcase in the whole back, or put some custom built-ins. Not sure. What's up, Tosh? Hope you're doing well, man. Saw you on Facebook earlier. Yeah, saw you on Facebook earlier, commenting on Dustin's post about Adrian having a happy birthday. So hope he is having a great birthday. The Panda Roll. What up, Southern Comic Geek? Man, it's been a while. It's been a while. How are you doing? Both of you guys. Hope you're both doing well. I hope everybody's doing well. How's everybody's Saturday going? I guess now that maybe some football's ending, baseball's ending, or starting up. I think it ended. People are coming back and, here for a good time talking a little about comic books. So, with that being said, anybody going to Free Comic Book Day this weekend did a little bit. What's up, man? It has been, look at all these people rolling in. It's been a while. I hope you're doing good, man. I hope you're doing good. So, let's talk a little bit about this Free Comic Book Day until Dustin gets here. Okay, anybody going? I hear you, dude. It's been crazy. Or if you're Dustin, he's been doing nothing but not working and pressing comic books. But Free Comic Book Day is this week. I did a little video about it earlier this week, and it's the full lineup here. Free Comic Book Day, of course, as you guys know. I'm sorry, this is Free Comic Book Day. I want to talk about Local Comic Shop Day. I apologize. Local Comic Shop Day 2022. It's this Saturday. Now, or this Wednesday. Why is it this Wednesday? I don't know. I don't understand why in the world they're doing it on Wednesdays. It's dumb to me. Yeah, man. Rolling on just a little bit. We've taken some time. It's been a slow year, we'll say. Just taking some time, some life changes, life events. So I know what you got going on and kind of where you're at on things. So, but yeah, the diapers and the kids, man. I know how crazy it is. But check this out. So some free or Local Comic Shop Day 2022 covers. What's up, Glitter and Duct Tape? Hope you're doing well. I did a little video on it, but until Dustin gets here, I was going to talk about this a little bit because it's wild what's happening, man. It's on a Wednesday for no reason. and you always hear about the SPAC stuff and what's happening and yada yada yada, and nothing is happening. Whoa.
That was anticlimactic.
Whoa.
Boom!
Whoa. Hold on. Whoa. Look what I just did. Oh my God.
What did you just do?
Look, I showed you screenshots earlier, right, of how expensive those boxes were going for.
Mm-hmm.
I just got one for not even half of what they were going for. Both of their faces when that dropped.
They were mad, huh?
Yeah, I want to reach out to Drew and be like, look, dude, I don't know what happened.
Who'd you buy it from?
I will only buy from Drew and David. I'm not going to buy from
okay,
these others ripping the packs.
Hey, you don't reach out to nobody about nothing, bro. Like,
oh, dude,
they've been making
double sign. No, I know, but double signed, remarked, sealed box.
Hey, is what it is.
Yeah,
it is what it is. See, that wouldn't have happened if they would have released them on a website where everybody could just get some. You know what I'm saying? You take that risk when you go put it on the whatnot for the auction.
I mean, I literally was talking. I'm sorry, guys, if you just joined. So Drew and David Zucker on Canto, they're doing these massive box breaks of their Canto cards. I just want a sealed, double signed, remarked. Whoa. That's wild, dude. Another guy just got it
200.
Yeah, and they were going for nearly 5 and like 4 hours ago.
Yeah, but were they going for that from
consistently?
Drew?
Consistently
from
with both
Drew
of them.
Yeah, or from
it's
the guys
same
that
stream.
were buying them and flipping them.
No, it's Drew and David.
Yeah,
David had his stream earlier, and the boxes were going for and it's the same setup, same people, both of them.
There was another seller that was.
There was a couple, but I've only been watching David and Drew. Who?
Whoever.
Well, you know how Whatnot does it? They just hand out stuff to these sellers so they can flip or give them a chance to buy it at retail. Yeah, we won't talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, for real though, that's wild. My wife's going.
It would just be super. It would have been super cool for all fans of Canto alike to have been able to. Just
so let's talk about that.
Order like a pack, even if you just sell them by the damn pack. Like
Joey. So apparently not. He had a meeting on. He was talking about that earlier, where like it's going very well.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the of that and the way that it's done. Like not just them, not just these cards. Like same thing with like some of those exclusives that have been done. You know, I think Bullseye Bob was talking about it with Bueller. You know, that he would love to get them, but he's not going to go fight somebody over the damn things for $700-800.
So,
you know,
with that being said,
anyway. Wow, we just hit a lot of
sorry. I'm shocked.
Daggone dead air there for a second there again.
Right. I got to turn this off because I'm gonna get. So let's talk about what's happening.
You already got a box. You know how many do you need, dude?
I don't, but I'm just like,
dude, look how long my damn neck is.
You do have a neck. Dustin's lost about 4 pounds and now he's acting like he's something.
Shit.
All right, so this is what's happening. This is kind of what we're talking about with Whatnot, and this was kind of a topic a little bit, right? So obviously we have our issues with one specific person, Jack Bolo, which we're not the only person. Somebody came out earlier this week,
which
same thing happened to him.
Fourth person that said that he did the exact same thing to
publicly
them as was done to us,
and that's what's been said publicly, not including all of the people that have come to us privately and said, including some very big names. Hey, the same, and I'm talking big names. Okay. massive names. Anywho's, and so that happens. And so I jump on there. And I'm like, man, I really want these Kanto cards. I'm like $65 because that's how much I would pay for like a box of Dragon Ball Z cards. And so they get on there, dude, and it's crazy. $600-$700 for uncut cards. A couple $100 for one of these little figures. Which, hey, look, that's cool because it's literally a prototype. If this thing ever really takes off, that's going to be incredibly expensive. I tried to get it. I literally missed by the swipe.
Hey, you got that ornament thing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, so like that's the very first, right? Very first that's ever been sold.
Kanto merchandise was, right?
That's the first, anything. And I should have never given one to Tyler. Tyler, when you rewatch this, you suck. If it ever becomes where Kanto is the biggest thing in the world, and that thing's worth like Boba Fett prototype launcher money,
I don't know.
You suck. I know. But anywho's, so like one or two guys are in there, and I got deep pockets. These guys, they got deeper. They got mother effing whales, holes of pockets. That doesn't make much sense. But it's either that or they just don't care. They don't have wife and kid.
Nick's got like 5-gallon bucket. Nick's got like 55-gallon drum pockets. I'm sitting over
here. These mother effers have Olympic-sized swimming pools.
My pockets are like tablespoon deep.
Dude, so they're in there and they're bidding it. I mean, it's Mr. Pig, which seems to be a very nice guy, and this other New York guy. And
they call me Mr. Pig.
So they're on there, and I pre-bid. I'm like $55-$60 for a box. Single packs are going for $20-$25 all day long. But they're doing some signatures and stuff like that. But it's pretty cool, and you also have a chance to get like, is it worth it? Maybe not. But it's the free market. They started at $1, but it's literally just consistently the people who can't afford the big box breaks or some of these other things. That's the only way they're going to get it. So yeah, it drives the price up. But there's like 2 or 3 guys in this one stream. And I watched a couple, but I'm only going to buy from David or Drew directly. I'm not going to buy from anybody else because I want to support them directly and put my money in their pocket because of the creation they've gotten or created. So anyways, there's a couple guys in there, and they sold this thing, went for a couple $100. Boxes were going for what did I send you, like $470, $500 plus a sheet of uncut cards were going for, and those were signed, remarked, sealed boxes, just crazy, right? And then he throws up some other things that are going for several $100. And my mind is just blown at this point. And Dustin and I were kind of having this conversation via text with somebody else, Justin. And I'm of the opinion where it's like, look, I wish it was more accessible to everybody that didn't want to be on the Whatnot platform.
So you sent me, one of them went for $600. One of them went for $443.
Yeah, so I just got it for less than half.
Yeah.
Wow. So with all that being said,
it will be like $75 for a box in 2 months.
But that's if these people start trying to flip them on eBay, right?
Because there's no way that would happen.
No, but I'm saying, like, who's paying that kind of money for some cards to flip? Like,
the only people that are buying anything right now, comic books, anything, are just resellers selling from one reseller to another.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But I was pretty shocked. But so back. I have a surprise for Bob that I'm going to talk about. So if Bueller jumps in, or Bob's not really, he's not one to really watch these things, but I did get a surprise for Bob. And because, he brought up, he's like, look, I think he and I have the same opinion. It sucks that we're not, we don't have outright access to buying these things directly. We have to go through the Whatnot. We have to go through the bidding. It's very specific. I don't know what's taking place on the back end. Or things really truthful, or are they not? Like, are these as rare as they're coming out to be? I don't know any of that. And I have no qualms against Whatnot specifically. It's just
anything with that yellow W on it is rare, bro. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So, but it's wild, dude, to sit and like watch these streams. Some of these guys are pure salesmen that know shit about nothing. It's like, I watched a dude and he seems super kind and super nice. And I'm sure he's an amazing person. Genuinely, I do think that, because he was not like a sleazy kind of car salesman guy, but like he was selling some comic books that were related to the cards. And, he's talking them up, and you can tell like he maybe understands a little bit but like the way his language he was using, and like you could tell that he doesn't really deal in comic books, but he was trying so hard to like sell it and lift it up. And I'm like, dude, like it's cringing me out a little bit because some of the language you're using and stuff. And these are like 9.2s and 9.4s, and you're trying to make them out like they're 9.8s, and you know, and then I honestly I've got screenshots. I want to go in and see what the last sales were compared to what they sold for. Because like 9.2, 9.4s of this book, you know, they were going for well over $100. I'm like, that's weird.
But it's whatnot, man. First print Kanto #1 9.4.
Yeah,
$90.
Dude, these went over it. Yeah,
that's
and
what I'm saying.
One was a 1 in 10 retail.
Yeah,
but
I mean, and I've been saying this since even back when I was selling on Whatnot, I was saying this. Like there's no chance in hell if I'm looking to buy something on Whatnot, when I'm scrolling through, that I'm going to go hit these rooms that have 75 to 150, 300 people in them. Like, hell no. Why?
Well, and I think that was the mistake Drew's making.
No, I'm going to go find the guys that's got 10 people in there, that's got 8 people in there, 15 people in there, because then I know, number one, I don't have near the competition.
Yep.
Like near the competition. And number two, like I said, when I was doing the selling, I was like, I want to go support the people that are on here doing like I am. You know, we don't have the handouts, we don't have the I forget what they call it, the where they put a certain sellers at the very top of the screen, like as soon as you turn on the app, like you see them, and which I mean is no big deal. Like like I don't care, but I'm not going to go in those rooms because I'm not looking to overspend on a book. I want to get good deals, so I'm going to go to the rooms that have less people in them.
So, and that's the mistake I think he was just making. And guys, we're going to move on from this conversation in just a second, but they immediately jump in 10 packs, boom, 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 done. And within the first 3 or 4 minutes, he had 25, 30 people when I won. And when David was doing it, it was 50 or 60 people. And now Drew has 60 something plus people in here. But I'm like, I mean, dude, just mind blowing. But so back to the principle kind of at hand, and you guys let us know your opinion. So as unfortunate as is, what?
I said, not that we care.
Well, no, I genuinely do care, right? Because, I'm willing.
It was just a joke. Dude. It was a joke.
Okay. So, and again, like David did talk about having a meeting about the movies and stuff like that. So hopefully that's still going well. You can tell like they are
on the way whenever JB Discovery Bay sends it.
Yeah. He said he was sick, so hopefully he's feeling better. But so here's the thing. No, these are Kanto cards because I'm a nerd. Yeah. I'm an addict. I don't know why. There's just something about that story, man. And clearly it's working. Like it's got everybody. But I mean that is honestly.
I don't know. I think the majority of the people that are in there, I
you think it's for the hype and resale?
Of them could give a shit about Kanto. Probably don't know nothing about Kanto. All they know is if it's got that yellow W on it, it sells for a lot of money. Yeah. I got to go buy it. They don't know dick about Kanto. I guarantee you 90% of them don't. Guarantee it. Because the people like us who are the real fans of Kanto, I mean, like okay, you went and bought a box, but like I've got the books, I'm not going to go fight somebody for $800 for a damn box of cards. I'm just going to wait and I'm going to get mine later on.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's something I really want, like, then I'll get it when it's available later on for a fraction of the price.
Yeah.
Those people are just in there. They're just in there feeding that hype, or feeding the hype beast and all that.
Dude, it's a total hype beast. But so here's kind of like what we're trying to round.
But but at the same time, like you can't knock the sellers. Like
that's what I'm trying to get back to. So we were having a discussion, and I was sending screenshots, and I was like, dude, this is insane. I can't believe this is happening. And I'm not really active in the chat. Both times when I've won, actually 3 times when I've won something, there's been like no, everybody else is getting hyped up and excited. It's like, all right, 2 bros, Nick won, moving on. I'm like, whatever, you know, not David or Drew, but like you can tell.
Did they say anything? Did they recognize who you were?
I'm sure there's no doubt. I mean,
they know us, but
So
we're not welcome on that platform.
And you know, because Stash Loot and stuff, obviously they're pretty, you know, connected to Bolo and the team or whatever. And I'm
Who is
sure they're
he?
fine guys. I don't know who. It's
Who
a
is
big
he?
team of people in like the card realm. So anytime you've seen pictures like Bolo and stuff with the group of guys with the baseball jerseys,
like that.
it's them.
That fat dude that wears the jersey all the time.
One of those guys, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a whole team. So, but anyways, so I'm sending screenshots. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. And Dustin was like, yeah, I think, you know, I don't want to speak for you, but you were kind of like, it sucks that it's not made available or you have to.
Yeah,
And I get that.
because I had saw the cards were coming like
Yeah.
a week or so ago. And I was just like, oh, that's cool. Like, I know Nickel wants some, and I'll probably grab, like, I was just thinking, my thoughts were they're going to sell them as packs. I didn't even notice that they were whatnot. And I was like, I'm going to grab probably like 5 or 6 packs. And
see, and this is my issue right now that's happening. He's selling an oversized art, and Stash Loot is bidding on it and just won it for $585. Now, is that going to be a real sale, or is that just a way for them to try to keep it from going X amount of money? Because it's original art.
Are they sitting there with him?
They're sitting right there with him.
Okay, so here's the problem I see with that.
Now,
and I do auctions all the time with Sands.
He is getting up and handing it to him.
Yeah, see,
I'm not
like Sands, and I watch auctions with Beta Ray and Madhouse and Strictly and a lot of these guys. Panel members, you know, most of the time, from what I've seen, panel members, you know, we don't bid on it.
Yeah,
because it looks bad.
And the only thing that looks bad in this case is when they were talking about what to start it off with, the Stash Loot guy muted everybody and then they had a discussion and then brought it back as like, we know what to so that to me is the only thing that sounds fishy. But again, I don't want to say, like, I don't think David and Drew have any integrity issues at all.
No, not at all.
It definitely feels weird.
Yeah,
but
I don't think
we'll know if it ever goes back up for sale, right? Like, that's one of one only. So I guess honestly, that's a moot point, because if it were, like, literally, that's the only, and it's not a comic art, it's nothing. It's purely for the cards. So I guess not, but maybe Stash Loot just
exactly.
Like
Tosh, kind of comes across as like insider trading.
So, but anywho's, so what do you guys think? Like, if you created this thing like Kanto, it's
no problem, Dan. No problem, dude. Take your time.
No big deal. Yeah, for real. And what's also annoying is whenever like Dustin and I have the same username because we use the same YouTube account. And he's on an auction, and I'm like, people are like, "Oh, Dustin, are you bidding?" I'm like, "No, it's me." But anywho's, and I've had too much coffee, guys, so I apologize. But like, what do you guys think? Like, do you think it's not necessarily wrong, but like for them to only restrict, and obviously they're under contract, and that's the only place they are allowed to sell per this contract. And they're making killer money off of it, so I can't fault them at all. But man, as a fan,
like,
it sucks.
When we brought up doing the hardcovers to them, at that point they had obviously not thought about it.
Yeah,
from the reaction we got, you and I had talked about it, and then I don't remember which one of us said something to them on their Instagram. But
if that goes purely,
that's going to go whatnot. I guarantee you.
It would, man.
I guarantee you
it probably will. That's that's going to hurt my heart.
And we won't fucking get one.
Yeah, you have to pay a premium. It'll go $400.
There's no way. No, I bet they go bigger than that.
But you know, that would be something down the road I think would get flipped pretty easily, or people would throw it up on eBay hoping, and you know, it'll crash.
Yeah,
so. But anyways, I mean, what do you guys think?
It sucks because it's like, you know, at that point, it comes across more as like, who cares if the fans of the series get their hands on it, as long as the money is made.
Yeah,
and I don't know, and I don't know that that's their mentality. And
I don't think it is.
I would think no. If you asked me, I would say no.
They've always been phenomenal.
That's what happens, though.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
And you know, again, I don't blame them, man. And uncertainties with comic books. I mean, we're seeing
for sure.
We're seeing comic pros getting royalty comic pros getting royalty checks for $1.77. You know, I can't fault these guys. The only thing I wish is if there was a way for it to be more accessible to fans. Like if they would just come out and say, look, these have been going consistently for X to Z. We're going to put it up at a median price. If you want it, it's there. You don't have to play any games. You don't have to play the Whatnot game.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, make some kind of like you could do standard editions of this stuff and put it up to sale for the general public, and then do your little Whatnot exclusive stuff.
Yeah,
that stuff's still gonna go for a hell of a lot more money, but at least
you could do volume
too that way. Exclude the majority of people who have followed and supported Kanto from the beginning.
Yep.
It doesn't exclude them from being able to just go and grab what they grab what they want to put in their collection, you know.
So Ugly Days, and nice to have you. And Lisa, nice to have you as well. But so this isn't so much an investment for me. This is literally just because I love it.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you, are you gonna bust it open and look at the card?
Hell no, they double signed it and Drew remarked it.
So?
No, dude, that's sitting in a box forever, for the lifetime ever.
Oh, well, that's shitty.
Well, okay. So my confession, I did buy a card. So they have one. It's one of their ultra rares or whatever they're calling it. And look, the uncut sheet they're going up right now. It sold for like $600+ earlier. It's only at 170 right now.
See, now that would be cool to have to frame, dude.
Look, I could win it right now for 170.
I would do that, dude. That would look cool.
170 it just went for.
Dude, you should have bought it, dude.
Do you understand?
You should have bought it, dude.
I can't. No, I told I no.
That would look so good framed.
I cannot believe that, dude.
That would look so good framed, dude.
Drew I would be so upset if I was Drew right now. Because David just had one go for $600+. And I don't know how they're splitting revenue. Maybe they're just all, or if it's their individual streams.
Well, I'm sure David was given, they were probably given the same amount of stuff, and like whatever you make is whatever you make. And again, that's where it sucks, because it's like now you got one guy making more than the other. If you guys were to just put this, and I say you guys, I'm just in general, I don't want this to come off as me being, directing any negativity towards Drew and David, because we genuinely, we like those guys and we want to see them succeed. But see, it had everything been just available to order from a website, like it's gonna sell out. Yeah. Like it's gonna sell out, and at least at that point, you're both guaranteed like this. You're gonna make your money.
I should have swiped, but man, I can't.
You should have, dude. How cool would that look being framed up, dude?
Well, the way they're handling it, I'm not super fond of right now. About 15 people.
Well, that's what happens when you have people that. Yeah.
Anywho's, so
I would never buy comics from a non-comic book person. Like,
yeah, but I did buy one of his Star Wars cards, and they put them in these custom slabs. And I'm hoping that with the custom Kanto label they designed, and I'm hoping it looks as good in person as it does on the stream, because I'm terrified that it's going to show up and be some crappy BCW, 4-cent piece of plastic. But dude, the come up on this stuff is wild, right? I mean, it probably cost them $10 a box in material, plus Drew's time of designing and whatever royalties they have to pay out for the other artwork from other covers. But like, Drew's gonna make his money with original art. He's sitting here doing anywho's, let's talk about something else, because my heart hurts so bad right now that I didn't just sketch cards, dude, are going for $120, and that went for $170. But you know what? That just dropped it. That dude that spent $600 earlier on his just dropped that value to 170. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but see, no, he didn't, because
there's only 10 available, dude.
With Whatnot, it doesn't like that. Yeah. That shit doesn't get recorded, so it's just like it's gonna sell for whatever it gets. Whatever people are gonna pay up for.
Yeah,
I'm looking right now.
They're showing one of their custom slabs. I wish I could screenshot. I guess I could, actually. We could just watch this. No, that would be boring for you guys, but at least y'all be able to see what we're talking about.
I'm looking on eBay to see if there's any on there yet.
Yeah. Well, there's only been 2 sold.
Rare sample Kanto collectible art cards from Whatnot Publishing, $250 or best offer.
That's dumb.
Is this? Oh no, that's.
They gave out the samples at the only other thing that's been kind of weird.
Okay.
Is them talking about how one of these boxes was a con exclusive. And then they're selling them,
See, I just want one of the card, like I just want something like this. Like I like that card right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm not paying $150 for it. Are you shitting me?
Yeah, I know. So this is kind of what their setup looks like, guys. Just in case you were curious to kind of knowing what we're talking about.
Is this the card you bought?
Yeah, but it's in the custom slab. How much do they have it on there?
So this is $25.
Yeah. See, I bought it purely because it was in that custom setup and signed. So you see this right here? That's what I'm talking about. So it's not that specific card, but it's the slab. So we'll see.
Why is he wearing gloves?
Dude, honestly, though, at least he is versus what they were doing with the uncut thing, man. It was just flipping and flopping everywhere. Everybody was touching it.
See that I don't. People kill me, man. Like, bro, it's already like because comic book guys do it too all the time. I see comic book guys. Like,
I don't get the
slabs,
gloves,
and you got gloves on, or you're holding a bagged and boarded book with gloves on. I'm like, bro, the book is already got protection. Like,
yeah. Like, it's weird, man. And your hands are so sweaty and stuff. Yeah. Very weird.
Like I wear gloves when I'm cleaning books and stuff, so I don't fingerprint them.
Dang, dude, that one went for $30. Those things were going for over $100 all day earlier. Dude, David got the hype train for real. Good for David, or not David. Sorry, yeah, David. It was his stream. But again, Drew's making his money off of these sketches.
I would love to have a box of those cards though, and just sit and open them up and look at the art. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But not happening. Oh well.
I know, dude. That's wild, man.
We should start streaming the Babylon on our whatnot.
That would be funny as hell. Can we do that?
We can. All we'd have to do is I would just start the stream and then I would invite you and we just put like, I don't know, like some stupid books in the buy it now so that technically we are selling, and we put them in there for like $1 a piece. And if somebody wants to buy $1 books while we're in there, like it's no different than like a super chat, but we're literally
no. We don't sell books, dude. We'll sell original art, and I'll do sketch covers of Jack.
No,
I'll do sketch cards of Jack.
No. But we could definitely live stream the Babylon. Funny. We would just have to set up our phones to be sitting in front of us, and we could live stream the Babylon on whatnot. And they can't do anything about it as long as we have something to buy it now. I mean, like,
yeah, I was totally expecting them to like cancel out my sale and stuff. Like, not.
Oh no, they're not that stupid. I mean, Jack is, but for the most, I don't think. Yeah, no. But
what
I think,
up, who dat?
I think
I can't believe people thought that was going to be me.
Dude, I had so many people messaging me last night.
I saw
on our account and on my Preston account. Like, was that you? Was that you? And I was like, no, I didn't even see it. I don't even know what happened. I don't know.
Silly. Dustin, I think I'm going to destroy my comic room and just start over. Probably not, though.
So next weekend, we're going to try to, next weekend, we might not have the Babylon, but the next time we do the Babylon, weekend after next, if we don't do it next weekend, we're streaming on Whatnot, YouTube, and Facebook, baby.
We should Twitch that bitch.
Nobody watches our Twitch, I promise. I get on there all the time. Just like my pressing Instagram, I get same 2 people. I get Someday Da Vinci, Adam, and who dat jumps in there, and that's about it.
Too funny.
That's right, man. That's right.
So have you bought anything lately? Did you get anything in the mail? I saw you did a
oh yeah.
A reel. And while you show that, I gotta go get mine. Mine's sitting on the stairs.
Okay. Yeah, I actually got in a couple big books this week. But you know the deal. You guys gotta wait for the daggone edited video on those. Not showing them on the Babylon. Come on now. But I got a few Raw books here that I've picked up over the past couple weeks. He's just gonna jump on in a little bit because Saturdays is his day to cook dinner for the old lady. So I picked this up because I thought the cover was super cool, and I don't know, I just thought it was neat, nice copy, and so I'm gonna see if I can hit a 9.8 on it, and see how that goes, because I'm about to start trying to kind of stack up like an inventory for Heroes Comic Con. So me and some buddies of mine, we're gonna have like a huge setup at Heroes Con where we're gonna have a couple of different booths, and then we're gonna have like a lounging area with like couches and like palm trees and all kind of stuff. So I'm gonna start trying to get up a decent little inventory of slabs to take with me to Heroes Con to put on the booth, just to make up for my portion of what I have to pay for the booths, because we're all going in together. So we got a nice copy of Spawn issue 62. I actually bought this a few weeks ago when we went on vacation. Heroes Con is in North Carolina, greatest Comic Con in the world. There's literally not a better comic book convention available anywhere. But yeah, this is awesome. This is definitely the best cover featuring Angela, bar none, 100%. Issue number 9, that cover is garbage. This right here to me is her best cover. And so I had to pick that up. Love this cover. So I think we're going to hit a 9.8 on that for sure. For sure. I got this week as well. Another one that I'm going to be sending off to get graded after I press and clean it. Oh, come on, focus. Punk ass camera. There it goes. Okay. These hip hop variants have fallen all the way off too, boy. Let me tell you what. I don't think anybody really cares about the hip hop variants anymore, but this one still does decent. Still does pretty decent in a 9.8. So we're going to give that one a shot as well. And then I got a PC book right here too, man. I've been waiting to get one of these. This is one of the when I first started collecting, this was probably one of the first Batman covers I really fell in love with, but it's always been kind of pricey. And over the past couple of years, it got really pricey, but I was able to pick up a copy finally. And like Nick said, I posted a video on our TikTok today doing an unboxing of it, and put the reel on our Instagram as well. So if you're not following us on TikTok and Instagram, please go do that. I'm trying to get us to 1,000 followers on TikTok so I can live stream on there. That will be super cool when we can do that. So if you're not following us on TikTok, you don't have to watch any of the content, but we definitely could use the numbers. We're a little over halfway there. But you got that awesome Carmine Infantino, Batman 194, 12 center. And got this from mycomicshop.com, and I love mycomicshop.com. This thing on the back here says that they've got this graded at a 7.5. 7.5 VF minus. Now, what's cool is without the press and clean, you can actually see defects right there. Right there on the spine. There's some creasing, and there's a crease right there by Batman. I mean, it's got defects, but they're all pressable defects. Now, the spine itself, there is one small, maybe 2 small color breaks there. When I get done pressing and cleaning this, the condition on it will definitely not be in the 7.5 VF minus range. We're going to be probably looking closer to a 9.0, maybe 9.2. But in the present condition, with the defects,
it ain't shit.
And with the back being dirty as it is, I think it's definitely around that 7.5 range. So I appreciate when you see people selling comic books and they price them based on current condition, not what they can get to if you have it pressed and clean.
Which is the only way to sell comic books. I hate that people are like,
absolutely,
with the press and clean, it's a twin 12.
Yeah.
Well, mother,
it's like that Spider-Man first appearance that I bought at Huntsville. You know, the guy was trying to sell it for like, 9.6 prices graded. And I was like, well, 2 things. 1, this is raw. 2, this is also not a 9.6, bro. You're looking probably closer to an 8.5. And I'm like, you got color rub here. You've got, the whole spine has got spine ticks on it. And, this, that, and the other. And he's like, yeah, but all that, can be fixed. I was like, cool. Then keep it and get all that fixed and then ask your asking price, which is still too much for the raw. But I said, but you can't ask for what it can be prices. You have, I'm going to pay you for what it is now. And I ended up getting the book, but like I said, I definitely appreciate that on mycomicshop.com's part. And it's cool because I actually found this on eBay, and I always go to check the seller. I always check to see who the seller is on eBay, so that I can try to hit them up on Instagram. If it's somebody that has an Instagram, be like, hey, let's help each other out. You don't have to pay eBay fees. I won't have to pay taxes. And, I'll pay you what you're asking for it. But you're going to get all the money, and I don't have to pay taxes, and it works out better for both of us. But I saw it was mycomicshop.com. So I was like, oh, well, crap. Let me go over there and look and see what they got it for over there. They had it for $10 cheaper on mycomicshop.com. You know why? Because they have to pay the fees. Yep. They don't lose the fees. So I actually bought that book.
Which is wild because they let My Comic Shop put up this massive banner with their, like, if I was eBay, I wouldn't do that.
Actually, I bought this Thursday and it's already here. So that was really cool. Really cool. Another place that I've really enjoyed buying, and the last two big slabs or big books that I bought, they were both graded.
Yeah.
I saw not too long ago, I bought the Fantastic 451 9.0 from Shortboxed. Well, I just got one in yesterday that came from Shortboxed as well, and I cannot wait for you guys to see that video. It's already recorded. I just got to get Nick to do the thing, and it's actually I've already cracked it, and it's already ready to go for CPR, and so I'm really excited about that, like overly excited about it. But Shortbox has been a really, really cool place to me to go buy books because you can still make offers on books. You can still put them on basically like a watch list, and the seller can see that. They can give you an offer. You can make them an offer. The only thing that I don't like is you can't contact the seller at all. They completely take that ability away completely.
Because they wouldn't get their fee, dude, because of people like you.
Yeah, but see, I wasn't wanting to do that. Like with the FF51, the guy had made me an offer like 2 weeks beforehand, and for some reason I didn't get any alerts on it. And it was because I was logged out of the app, and I didn't log myself out. So I was trying to hit him up because I made him the same offer, and he said no. So I was wanting the message, be like, yo, you made me this offer a couple weeks ago, man. Like, come on. Also, I'd rather just be like, all right, look, tell me how much you want for it. Like, what will you take? Because I don't want to sit here and play the let's make an offer back and forth game all freaking weekend. But they're very quick with the shipping on Shortbox.
Yeah.
The one that I purchased, so the Fantastic 451, it was under $1,000. So the seller shipped it straight to me, got there very fast, man. I bought it. I think I bought that book on like a Friday night or a Saturday. Yeah, it was a Friday night. I bought the book, and it was at my house Monday. Now this one that I just got, I bought it Sunday night at like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. But it was over $1,000. So the seller has to, if it's over $1,000, the seller has to ship the book to Shortbox so that they can inspect it first to make sure that everything's on the up and up.
Yeah.
And then Shortbox will ship it to you. So it went from North Carolina all the way to San Diego, California, and then got to my house by Friday. And I bought it Sunday night. So
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it was great. And I've been having a lot of good luck lately selling books actually on eBay. A couple of slabs. I don't have a whole lot of stuff that I'm still selling. I mean, I've basically just been trying to get rid of the stuff that I bought to sell. But I've been trying to sell stuff for dirt cheap on YouTube auctions, Instagram, live sales, putting stuff up with Elite, putting it on Facebook. Like, can't get nobody to buy them for nothing. I forgot that I had them on my eBay for buy it nows, and I sold that Hobbit set. That went for my asking price. They didn't even make an offer. I just woke up one morning and, hey, they bought these books. You need to ship them. And then the Batman 133 first Kite Man. That sold for exactly what I had it up for Buy It Now. And I've been trying to sell that book for like $300. Somebody paid like $375, $380 for it on eBay. I ended up walking away with $350 on it.
Dustin, you just gotta throw stuff up on eBay, man. But maybe you should do like a little short video about your experience with Short Box, like 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah,
because there's a few like
I talked about it in the video that I did with the book I just got. But
okay, cool. Well, let me show off these real quick because Alan is here specifically for this stack of books.
Nobody give a damn what Alan's here for.
He's a terrible,
his bald ass head,
terrible human being. Okay. So
who, me?
No, Alan.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Gunslinger. Have I read any Gunslinger? Absolutely not. Do I still buy it because it's $2.99 in incredible quality?
This dude has got a box full of Spawn books that he is.
I'm fairly certain I've given half of them just back to Josh.
Do what?
So I'm fairly certain I've given like half of them back to Josh. I don't even know. So King Spawn. Have I read this? No. Have I bought every single one? Yes, because Todd McFarlane, incredible page quality, still $2.99 Image, and I'm sure the story is good. Who knows? And then we have another Gunslinger. Not read it either. Great cover, beautiful quality. I mean, thick. $2.99. And then I'm like, oh, okay. There's another book in there, so I'm excited. And Tom is at the front. He's like, oh, and he's giggling a little. I'm like, okay, what happened? And I'm looking and I'm flipping and I'm like, oh, nice. Somebody dropped off a book. And I read and I see what it is. It's paid for. Nick, enjoy your new favorite hero, Alan. I hate you so much. I actually recorded a video Thursday night, just finished editing it. It's like 4 minutes. And I'm going to basically call it, what the hell are you doing, Marvel? Okay? Because you're taking this, and Alan, I do appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. But, and it's in a good back and forth. These feel like the Comics Pro line. So I just recorded a video, so I'm laughing my head off. And again, bad page quality. But, so you're telling me you're going to take the worst human being in the Spider-Man universe, Norman Osborn, dropping Gwen Stacy off of bridges, just terrible human being, and you're going to turn him into this goofy looking thing. Don't get me started on the design. And people are running up saying, can I get an autograph? Can you give me an autograph, Norman? Can you do this? Can you do me that? And I'm like, really? He looks like a wannabe Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. I mean, almost looks like a character from, what is that? Dustin, the new Power Ranger type book, Infinite Black,
Radiant Black.
Radiant Black. It looks like a character from Radiant Black. Like, come on, man. And now Norman's getting his own spinoff book as a hero. Let's see who wrote this. Cantwell and Medina and Fabella. I mean, come on. Really, Marvel? What you guys need to do is get rid of Akira Yoshida. And if you don't know who that is, check it out. Just type in Akira Yoshida. But dude, seriously, this is garbage. Everything they've done with ASM has been garbage for 20 years. 20 years. Somebody got on a Facebook group today. It was actually Jim Mint's Facebook group. And I rarely comment unless I really want to, have an opinionated thing. And somebody was like, what's happening? Because I feel like last series just kind of had this big thing and then nothing's happened. This new one, they kind of left it on the thing. And it's like, we're on issue 13, 14. Nothing's happened. Did I miss something? And so I commented on there. I was like, no, they just haven't made a good effing Spider-Man book in 2 decades. And somebody else got in there is like, yeah, I pity anyone who thinks that Dan Slott's Spider-Man is like peak Spider-Man. Lame.
Dan Slott sucks butt at everything he does, dude.
Well, I'm terrified of getting to him in Fantastic Four. We'll just put it that way.
When does he pick up?
Oh, like 2000s.
But
he's on it for a freaking long time. Long time.
Great.
Yeah,
well, I'm still under issue. I'm not even up to the issue 70 yet. So,
well, I'm not. I'm pretty far behind. I'm gonna have to spend quite a bit of time.
I just got to the point where I'm just like, I was getting so stressed out over trying to keep up that it was messing with me being able to enjoy it because I was just trying to speed read through it and wasn't paying attention. So I was just like, F your list. No offense, but I'm just gonna read the books.
Yeah. Well, do what you got to do. But I am well behind. I'm gonna have to spend quite a bit of time.
Plus, like today, I spent 9 hours straight sitting in this room, pressing and cleaning books and doing paperwork and all that. I mean, it takes quite a bit of time.
Quite a bit of time. Quite a bit of time.
With that being said, send me your shit so I can work on it. You know what I'm saying?
Dustin, I went to the comic shop today. I went to Josh's, took Ellie. She was very excited. Guys, this is my local comic shop story for the day. Haven Comics, the best damn comic book shop in all of Huntsville, Alabama. That includes every other comic shop in the area. They all suck. Haven's the best. Enjoy it. Now, I walk in. They're all sitting back there with their pizza and their donuts. I'm like, what now?
I said my kid's sitting in the bed with a fever and strep throat or stuff.
Oh man, he was just sick like a week or two ago, right?
Hagen?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So many kids have been sick lately.
Yeah, Hagen doesn't really get sick.
That sucks, dude. Hopefully it's not this other stuff that's going around with all these kids getting in the hospital and stuff. Like, you know, Justin did.
Yeah, I mean, he just had like a fever and a sore throat. But I mean,
yeah, no, it definitely sucks.
So what about Josh now? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, so I walk in and Ellie's with me, and Ellie, you know, is not really wanting to participate. So I'm like, okay, we'll get through this. Corn muffins?
No, blueberry.
Ugh.
Fresh.
That's not gonna help with the size of your neck there, Dustin.
ASMR.
No, don't do that. That's yucky. Yucky. So I'm in the shop. Ellie's running around looking at some stuff. I go in the back. Okay, Lisa and the gang's back there. Josh is at the very back, like the king of the table. He's got his Dungeons and Dragons stuff out, and he's got his laptop, and he's got his, I think it's called the Dragon Master flap. That's what I'm calling it. Josh, if you're here or somebody from Haven's here, I'm calling it the Dragon Master flap. His super duper Dragon Master flap. So he's got it out. And so I'm talking, and I haven't talked to Josh in weeks. And so we're having just a catch up, and I can tell like nobody else is really interested in the conversation. And so I'm slowly starting to catch on that I've interrupted something. But I'm like, well, I haven't talked to Josh in forever, so I'm going to keep talking and being rude. So I'm there for like 30 minutes or so, and we're talking and talking and talking. And we started talking about you and your pressing, and he's going to give you his FF number 5, he said, next time you're up to work on First Doctor Doom. And, I was just telling him like, the equipment and some of the things that like you're learning and the dedication you're putting into it, and just having that whole conversation with him. And so we talked about it for a while. And, I told him, I said, he's always really worried about what people are thinking and what are they going to think. So like, he's the kind of guy that's going to put, it's called Dragon Fappers. But he's going to literally, it doesn't matter if it's $1 book or, a $10,000 book, he's going to put in the same effort because that's just his personality. And Josh is like, really? I said, like, he was more like really like the personality. I'm like, yeah, very very self-conscious in that way. Not self-conscious isn't necessarily the word, but just for lack of a better term. And so we're talking, and he told me about the FF5, and I didn't know that. I was like, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah, we just talked about that the other day because I was telling him about that. I showed him the book that I just got.
Yeah.
And I was showing him what was wrong with it, and I was telling him what I thought I could get it to, and he's like, I need to let you work on my FF5 if you think you can do. I was like, think hell, there ain't no think, dude. I said, all this book's missing is the damn label. I said, it's already there as far as I'm concerned. And that's not me being cocky. I can look at the book. I know what can be done to it. And it's, and he's like, well, I'm gonna send you my FF5 next time you come up. I was like, hey, ain't no big deal to me, dude. Like, I told him,
yeah,
I'll
I
treat
thought it
it
was. I thought it was.
like a random
Yeah.
2000 Scooby-Doo book, man.
Well, and he told me, he was like, he's like, I'm not saying nobody I don't trust. I said, I know. I said, honestly, I said, I think you're in good hands, so you're gonna be fine. But so we were having this long conversation, and I went to go leave, and I come back, and honestly, I don't know if it's Kalisa's boyfriend or her husband or whatever, but
I think she's married.
I think she is too. But I've just never even thought to ask or look at fingers or anything like that. So I just kind of was, But anyways,
sounds weird.
huh?
That sounds.
I know. I've never thought to see if she had a ring. We'll clarify.
I know that's what you meant, and I wasn't saying like it sounded like sexual or anything like that. I was just like, it just you never hear people
did
say
not
that.
sound great.
But I mean that's what we do though. You check and see. Is there something on her finger?
Yeah. So, anywho's, so I come back in after they thought I was leaving because I was still asking Josh something else, and he turns around and puts his head down in his arm and starts whispering to Kalisa, and I can't hear it. And then I realized I have ruined their entire afternoon. The whole thing. They've been trying to play Dungeons and Dragons or whatever it is, and I think it's cool. Like, I would love to learn how to play. We've talked about that. And so I look at him. I said, "You want me to leave so you guys can keep playing?" And he turned around, looked at me so dang fast, and look on his face was like, "Oh man, I'm embarrassed." And then he quickly, like it was super quick, and then he goes, "Yes, literally, that is exactly. I need you to go." I'm like, "Dang."
We need to figure out when we're gonna go do our thing with them, man.
Yeah, I didn't take any offense to it because, like, I would have probably felt the same way. So then I left, went and checked out. I got the gold goblin, and also a huge shout out to Christine. Every time we go, we buy the bags. If you guys are interested in these, she does a ton of different ones. They're food safe snack bags for kids. My daughter loves them. So with that being said, I was checking out and I was telling Tom about it. I was like, if you want to go in there and screw with them, just go in there and keep talking to them because they're already irritated with me. And one of the guys was there up front. He goes, "Why don't you just go back in there and start talking to him again?" I was like, "Genius, duh." So I run back in there, and the look on his face, I mean, was quite funny.
Well, I mean, you should have been like, Josh, part of owning the comic shop is customer service. You're not just you can't just have a comic shop and just sit back here and play damn games all day. That's how it works.
Well, don't get me wrong, he had a ton of people up front handling the store, but like I don't go there to shop or anything like that as much anymore.
Yeah.
I go there to see Josh and buy my books, and I bring Ellie so that I can spend a little bit more money since comics are kind of low right now. So like I'm doing what I can to support Josh, but I really go there to talk to Josh. Before I show up, I text him like, "Are you even there?" And
yeah, because we don't ever go there when I'm up unless he's there.
Yeah. So
no offense against anybody else there, but like we go to see Josh.
Yeah. Or if somebody else is going, we know we'll go. But it was the funniest thing because I go back in there and look on this dude's face. He's just like, "Are you effing serious?" Because I go back there and I'm like, "All right, one more thing." Dude, if I would have been around town, I swear to God, I would have come back. But we ended up going all the way South Huntsville. But it was the funniest thing in the world. So, but I don't know. I love, I don't know. I love the comic shop. But Sky had went and got to the car after we checked out. And I came back out of it and I was telling her the story. She goes, "Well, that was kind of rude of you." And I told her the same thing. I was like, "No, I'm there to talk to Josh."
Yeah.
They'll be there all day playing the game. But yeah, it was quite funny. And if they ever see this or watch this, I do genuinely understand your pain because I would have been the same way. I probably wouldn't have been near as patient though. I'd have been like, "You know what? If you're gonna sit back here, you at least need to pull up a chair and start playing."
Right.
Well,
before we bring I'm sorry,
dragon flappers.
No. Before we bring our guest on, I do want to go ahead and throw out there because I told him, even though it is begrudgingly, because I don't want the competition. But if you are in the area, if you're in Georgia, you guys hear us talk about Dave's Comics all the time. Probably one of my favorite shops here. Definitely tied for number one with Syndicate being my local comic shop. Black Friday sale. You guys see every year, Nick and I do Black Friday sale at Dave's Comic Book Hall. It's going to be this Friday, 10 a.m. start. You can go find his Facebook page, or you can look on our Facebook page to see all the deals he's going to have going on. 50% off omnibus, 20% off slabs. Wall books are 20% off. If you buy 15, I think it's 25% off. If you buy 30, it's 30% off. So
Jeff's gonna meet you down there.
Jeff and Britt. I don't know if Richie's gonna come, and then we're supposed to go. So I don't know if
I'm hoping I'll be able to go. They're selling Nano's house, and depending on how that closes in the timeline, I may need to help out a little bit to try to get some stuff out. But it sounded like it'll be fine. So,
okay, cool. So
that was just something that just recently happened. They finally got the county to sign off on some things.
But yeah. So if you guys end up going, just make sure when you walk in the door, hey, and two brothers sent us, mainly Dustin, because Dave knows me. And but yeah, even though I don't want the competition from you guys, I told him, I was like, I'll share it, but I don't. It's begrudgingly, because
what competition?
I don't want anybody else in there getting books. I might want a damn pile.
Oh, I see. Trying to buy your book.
He asked me to share it out, and I was like, hell no. I was like, I'm gonna tell everybody you're having it on Sunday. But anyway, guys, just like we advertised, we're gonna be talking the greatest era of comic books that has ever been written. It will never
the 90s modern. The 90s modern, specifically Todd McFarlane.
Our guest literally just left. Thanks.
And Rob No Feet. Why can't I remember his last name?
It'll never be repeated. It'll never be outdone. We're talking Silver Age comics, and back to do that with us is my man Dan De La Torre. What's going on, brother?
Gentlemen, it's good to see. I was about to hit the leave button when Nick was talking about 90s comics. I'm like, no.
Yep.
No.
Look, hey, it'll never be repeated.
Okay, all right.
There will never be a time like the 90s, man.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. We've got 500,000 variants. I'm seeing brand new embossed foil covers coming out on New Comic Book Day for like the last couple of months. I wouldn't say the 90s never be repeated as far as comic books go.
You know, is it just me, or because again, I lived through the 90s and the oversaturation of comics, and they were just printing these things out by the hundreds or thousands. Now they're not doing that this time, but there's so many out there. And I put my toe in the water for New Comics last year. The first time I bought New Comics in 25 years to see what they were doing.
God bless you.
Nothing grabbed me. Nothing grabbed me at all.
No. Yeah, and it's tough, man. And I will tell you so, and I'm glad you're here, right? Because I dove really deep into Silver Age comic books over the last year, and I'm only going to get more in depth into it, right? And you've heard the conversations we've had, and some of my opinions on things and stuff like that. But Silver Age books have ruined modern comics for me. If you would have asked me 2, 3, 4 years ago, man, modern comic books were excellent. Some of the best stories happening right now.
I started buying them before Nick did, and he used to give me shit for it. He's like, "Why are you spending all that money on that one book?" I'm like, "You don't understand what this is, dude. Like, you're asking that."
Yeah.
He's just like, "Oh man, I'd rather spend that on buying 25 other new books to read."
Yeah.
I just randomly grabbed a book out of this is my fire box. If there's a fire, and it's Sonoma County, so if there has been fires, you got to be ready to go. I just grabbed a book. Why would you not pay a fortune for this?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, this is a classic. It's in great shape. Now, first of all, I'm more than impressed with both of you for delving into the Silver Age. You guys are at least 25, or if not years younger than I am. Let me ask you both, what motivated you to dive into it, and what grabbed you to this day?
Well, Dustin, so I think we went into it from different perspectives. Dustin went into it for a collecting perspective.
I was gonna say, for me, honestly, it was joining the hunt, because when I first got on the hunt, I'd already been watching it, and I noticed what these guys were using to play the different rounds and stuff, and I was like, damn, all I got is a bunch of modern stuff, and these guys have got like these big expensive books that I don't even know nothing about. But the more I was watching, and the more that I would show up and be around these guys and see the stuff they would play, I really developed a love for Jack Kirby's artwork. And so originally I was just cover buying Jack Kirby artwork, and then that led me to finding the Buscema brothers and Jim Steranko and Gil Kane and Marie Severin. For the longest time, up until about September of last year, I hadn't even read any of it. I was just collecting them. But I'd gotten to a point where I couldn't really find anything that I wanted to.
There was no joy.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that, but I felt like I didn't have that next book that I wanted. You know, I've always got that next one. Like, what do I want next? And that was where my whole love for comics was based off of, is the hunt for the next book. So I was sitting here and I was looking at everything I had, and I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, I've got so much money invested in these books here, and I don't know a damn thing that's inside of any one of them. I don't know if I like Ghost Rider. I don't know if I like Captain America. I might not care for them at all. And I'm spending all this money for these books. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm going to start reading some of this shit and see if I even like the stuff that's inside of it. And for whatever reason, I decided to start with, well, the very first thing I started with was Ghost Rider. I read the Marvel Spotlight stuff through Ghost Rider, loved it. Absolutely loved it. Then I decided to jump into Fantastic Four because I wanted to dabble into something that I didn't hear a lot of people talking about, which I found crazy, being that the Fantastic Four is the one series that's responsible for everything that we have.
Yeah.
And you know, just through that, man, I fell in love with the storytelling and the layout of the books, and watching the progression of the characters through Jack Kirby's artwork as you see them go from, you know, the Thing looking like a piece of chewed up bubble gum to, oh, he's got some actual edges to him now. And, oh, okay, like, you know, I can start to see the Thing that I know now develop. And then so that was really where it was for me. And at that point, I really never saw the big deal with Stan Lee until I started reading this stuff. And now it's just like, I was always like, man, I don't need no Stan
You
Lee.
literally talked so much shit about this man.
I know.
God,
and now, like, I hate the fact that I'll never get to, like, you know, shake the guy's hand. And it's like, I want a Stan Lee signature in my collection. I have a Jack Kirby. I want a Stan Lee signature in my collection now. But yeah, for me, the Silver Age, I feel like it kept me in this hobby, and it rejuvenated my love for this hobby, and in a much better way than I think I was doing it before. Because now I feel like, and this is just me, it's not me saying that this is how everybody should be, but now I feel like I'm a better collector for it. If I have somebody come over to my house, which never happens, and they ask me, you know, what is this book? I can tell them. Why this book is on my wall. Why did I purchase this book? Why it's important, why it's worth money. And to me, that's an awesome thing. That's a lot cooler that to me is a lot cooler than saying, oh, I just like the cover. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's how we work out of being able to explain the book.
Yep.
Well, that's a complete and honest answer, and I can relate. I think a lot of collectors can relate. We're basically, we don't mean to be, but we're hermits. You know, we don't have that much. The friends that I do know don't understand my comic collecting, especially the older you get. When I was a kid, it wasn't okay to be a nerd. It wasn't okay to love Star Trek and Lost in Space.
Yep.
I'm so old, there was no Star Wars when I was a kid. That's how old I am. But if you were a nerd on any level, it wasn't accepted. And even parents would make fun of you, and it was okay. So you were sort of on your own. Well, I back and forth, but I stayed with it, you know, and to this day, I'm like, you know what, this is who I am. This is what I could do. And if you don't like it, I don't really care. The only one in either family, my family or my wife's family, that cares anything about this is my 8-year-old nephew, who I see twice a year on holiday. That's about it. No one else comes to this room. They're welcome to come in here. They wouldn't know or care, you know. They wouldn't appreciate, you mentioned the Thing. This is John Buscema, probably the best cover, the best illustration of the Thing I've ever seen. The Hulk doesn't look that great, but the Thing looks fantastic in that particular picture. So it's artwork, but more importantly, it's storyline that grabbed me. It's no different than Hollywood today. The Hollywood movies are crap. They just are. They have over-focused for the last 20-something years on special effects, not content of story. That's why no one but elite snobs watches the Oscars every single year. And by the way, that slap by Will Smith, I think that was fake as anything. I've said that on another show. I think because had that not happened, no one would have known the Oscars were on that night.
I didn't even know they were still doing them.
No, there's nothing to watch. There's nothing to watch. There's nothing there. So, Nick, so what about you? What has grabbed you and your attention to the Silver Age?
So I was trying to find my copy of that. But my collection is not as well organized where I can just. So what got me into it? And I've had too much
copy of that book, Nick?
I do.
No, you got Submariner 8.
No, I think I have that one, don't I? I don't know what I have sometimes.
Yeah, you have Submariner 8. It's Submariner and Hulk on an all black cover.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I need to get the matching one.
Great book.
So what got me into comic collecting and reading Silver Age as a whole, kind of a related, right? I got into comic book collecting because I loved the original, like phase 1, and I wanted to know source material. So the first books I ever bought were Infinity Gauntlet. And I thought it was like, I spent like $90 on the first 6. And I'm like, this is insane. I'm stupid for spending this kind of money on 6 books, right? You break that cost down.
I told him when I saw him for the first time.
Huh?
Yeah, so that's also what I told you as soon as I saw him the first time.
Look, and I love these books so much. I even framed them. I put these 6 up on my wall. I knew nothing about comic books. And if it wasn't for Josh at Haven, I still wouldn't have been collecting comic books. But I say all of that because my motive was to understand source material, like the history and the design behind things. And so that if I'm going to have an opinion, I'm very much the kind of guy that if I'm going to have an opinion on things, or if you are going to have an opinion, you better understand why you're thinking that, not just kind of going with the crowd, in my opinion, like from my perspective. Same reason why I read all of the Lord of the Rings this year, because I wanted to watch the new show. And if I was going to hate it or love it, I want to understand that why, not just because I'm going with the crowd. So with that being said, with Silver Age, what got me into it was literally nothing more than I have all of these comic books. I buy the silver, have been buying some of the Silver Age, some of the Bronze Age stuff, but I don't have a clue what's in them. Not a clue. But I want to understand the history of characters, and I want to understand why people love them so much. And so what I did is I just picked a random character. I started with Spider-Man. Didn't have really a big opinion on Spider-Man. I wasn't a fan of Spider-Man. I wasn't somebody who, like, Spider-Man's always just been okay. The biggest relationship I've had with Spider-Man was the Tobey Maguire movies, and I thought they were fine. And I'm glad, like, I hadn't up until that point. I'll get to that in a second. So I told Dustin one of my big goals was to read all of a run of something. I thought that would be really interesting because I'd been doing that with manga, where I will literally sit and read 20 or 30 volumes of something over the course of a month or 2. And I love that style of reading. So I said, well, I'm going to start that with a comic book. So I picked Spider-Man. So in January, I read all of it. I finished it up like 3 or 4 months early. And as I read through Spider-Man, at first I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I did some videos on it and nobody watched it. So I kind of stopped. But I was like, I just slowly started to fall in love with these characters because it was just like like the most pure experience with a character I think you can get is reading the original, the Silver Age, the way it was originally intended to be written, the artwork. I think it's literally the most pure experience with a comic book I think you could have. And the more I read it and the longer I read it, the more I appreciated everything that went through it. They can literally tell a story in 10 or 20 pages that takes an entire miniseries to kind of do now, right? You get that much of a solid content, and the artwork for what they had, it's unlike none. And I put some pretty spicy opinions out there where I was like, Ditko's a better artist than Kirby. And people did not like that. But then I started reading Fantastic Four, and after about
don't leave yet, Dan. Listen to the next part before you leave over the Kirby comment.
So as I read through Spider-Man and got through it, I really started changing the way I collected. I read the character, I've read all the backstory, and I started just buying the Silver Age books for the characters I loved and appreciated. And that changed the way I collected. It was no longer, oh, this is a cool cover, I'm just going to buy it. Or this may be a hot book in a week or 2, I'm going to buy it. It was, no, I'm going to go drop some money on the characters that I truly love. And that way, if it sinks, it's not going to hurt my feelings. I now have the book of a character I truly appreciate. But as I read Spider-Man and I got into Clone Wars, and everybody knows how I feel about not Clone Wars, sorry, the Clone Saga. Like, if you don't know my opinion there, it just ruined Spider-Man to the point where I've had people tell me in comments and stuff that they quit collecting comic books during that time period because of how bad it was. But it ruined.
Rob Fatstacks quit collecting comic books for like 20 plus years.
Yeah, over that. So, but it absolutely ruined modern comic books for me, because the story that we were getting in Silver Age is significantly so much better. I don't know. And again, not all, right? There's some really still some good modern comic books, but like this, anything Marvel's done with Spider-Man in the last 20 years has been absolute trash. Absolute trash. Outside of maybe Ultimate Spider-Man, but that's only because of the influence they pulled from the Silver Age on a lot of things. But with that being said, and then I love the experience. I love the fact that now I can walk up and have a conversation with somebody about Spider-Man. And this is what I get to do, right? I get to do this, and I'm pulling it up. I told Dustin this is my goal for comic books as a whole. I want to be this guy.
Hi there. Is there a project you're working on? I know more than you. All right.
I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy that's able to know everything about a character, and it's going to take years to do, right? And I don't mean that from like a cocky way or anything like that, but I love this stuff so much
from a place of love for this.
I love this stuff so much
because I definitely am right there with you.
Yeah, where I'm going to spend however long it takes over the next few years to read all of Spider-Man accomplished. Now, I always said I was going to continue to read each individual issue, so I can literally say I've always read every Spider-Man comic book. But God, this storyline's so bad, I don't know if I can keep doing it. It's going to be tough. It's a labor of love. But then I'm reading all of Fantastic Four, right? Next, I haven't decided if I'm going to
what was your revelation on Jack Kirby through reading Fantastic Four?
The first 30 issues or so, and I don't remember the exact tipping point, were not creative. They weren't that great, in my humble opinion. The interiors.
22 is the turning point.
It was something around there. I remember putting it out there. And there's something that clicks with his interior artwork, and it just changes the whole game. And I'm like, you know what? Like, this is where Jack Kirby earned his title. And for the next 70 issues until whoever it was that took over, is it Sal or John? I think it was John.
John Buscema was next.
Yes. But hell, honestly, John does such a good job. He is such an underrated artist. He needs to be top 5 in a lot of places because that man has done some incredible stuff. And I didn't even realize it wasn't Jack for the first issue or two, and until I was like, whoa, hold on. But so Jack Kirby absolutely deserves everything. But as I'm reading through Fantastic Four, I really start to see influences of modern comic books. I put out a post later, or last week before, why Invincible is as good as it is. It's one of my top 5 reads of all time, is because it's the perfect combination and influences from Fantastic Four and Spider-Man. Everything that made those two characters or those two storylines great in Silver Age, Rob Kirkman, I believe, pulled it directly from those pages. And that's why it's so good.
Well, just a pause. The John Buscema cover,
yes,
the most gorgeous cover in all of Marvel.
Yeah,
and so again, this was the Stan Lee story. This is an I rate this above Silver Surfer 1. The story is far more better. I mean, I'd love to have a Surfer 1, which I don't have, but John Buscema made that what it is.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm telling you, and the more I've I guess you read his comic books, right? But it's really his artwork that I'm looking at. So I don't know how do you phrase that? The more I look at his artwork in the books, maybe is that a good way of saying it?
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
I've become such a big fan, and that's another thing that Silver Age comic books do. We always say like, "Oh yeah, this Jack Kirby's a great artist." Well, is he really, or are you just going along with the crowd? You know, is Ditko really as good as people say he was, or are you just going along with the crowd? It really has allowed me to create definitive opinions based on my own experience, whether it's with the writing or the artwork or wherever. I mean, there are some artists out there that I won't name that people hold them in high regard. I'm like, you guys, he's not that good. I said that about Kirby before issue 22 or whatever it was came around. His interiors just weren't that great, but it's crazy.
And I think that can be said a lot too, even with modern artists. Like,
for sure,
people get so hung up on this guy or this girl because that's what is hot, but then you've got people like
like Ralph Grassetti and Peach Momoko, that kind of thing. They're hit or miss as far as I'm concerned.
Right. And then you've got what's the guy's name, Nick? I can't think of his name, the one that I love so much, and he's just underrated. He did New Avengers, he did all the Walking Dead stuff recently.
Oh yeah, I brought him up yesterday.
I can't think of his freaking name.
Hold on.
but he does. I mean, to me, he's
David Finch.
David Finch, yes. You know, from his covers to his interiors, he's probably the most consistent. And always brings his A game with everything he does, and he gets no love for it, and I think that's something that has been around for a lot of years, all the way back to the Silver Age and probably before, and is still present today.
Yeah,
because I think there's artists like Gil Kane. You know, most people know of Gil Kane, but I don't think Gil Kane gets the love and the respect that he really deserves for some of the stuff he did. Same thing with Maurice Severin.
He's about to pull out a Gil Kane book. He's about to pull out a Gil Kane book. I know it.
It's here somewhere. I don't want to. Yeah, I'll find it when I find it. Yeah, Gil Kane and Maurice Severin were still. They're very underrated. Yeah. But both of you have identified a lot of deep content. Yeah. And that's what's missing out of today's comics. Same with Hollywood, even music. The music of today, I don't care for it. I don't think
I can't tell you the last time I've turned the radio on to listen to music.
As far as I'm concerned, music stopped being made in 1999. I don't listen to anything that was past that.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. No, even the early 2000s, and that was the end. But as far as comics, I mean, people who would be watching this show for the first time, seeing adult men talking about comics and all that, they wouldn't understand it. But let's see if you can equate it to a monetary component. Where in 2008 with Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr. and you see that Mark I armor coming out of that cave in Afghanistan, that was extremely along the lines of Iron Man 1 from Tales of Suspense, 1963, Tales of Suspense 39. Same with Avengers in 2012. That was very much along the lines of the first Avengers movie. The great advantage that Marvel and Feige seem to have is, and they show great success when they stay close to the true storyline, but add their own little spin and flair to it.
Yep.
Where they run into a risk is when they start getting away from the original Silver Age or Bronze Age storyline, and then they go a little too far. They've done that more than once here. But if you look at the history beyond what you guys have done, going all the way back to the Silver Age, and I really applaud you guys. I wish more people would do that. Look at what they did before the Silver Age became the Silver Age, when they were almost beaten to death and beaten out of the industry because they were shamed into, they're basically producing pornography. You're poisoning the minds of children with the book, The Seduction of the Innocent.
Yeah.
And so imagine a Stan Lee and a Kirby and the brilliance of those people. Their brilliance was locked in for a number of years. They couldn't express themselves because they were terrified of what the government was going to do to them. So then in 61, they said, screw it. I'm just going to, I'm going for it. And they did. And look what they created. I mean, it was hit after hit after hit. You had Hulk, you had Thor, you had Spider-Man, the Avengers, the X-Men, Daredevil, the Doctor Strange, and the little, again, it was a little rinky-dink company that was being held on by with duct tape. The artists that survived, like Ditko, and I'll give an admission right here, right now. I didn't care for Ditko art when I first saw it.
Yeah,
I learned to appreciate it. Like you said, you learned to appreciate Kirby art. Kirby art, I was drawn to that immediately, and in fact, a lot of there wasn't a lot of the Silver Age that I didn't like because it was so. It may be simplistic by today's standards, but again, I equate that to being, the Hollywood overemphasizing on special effects. Yeah, special effects are great, but if there's no content and story, the movie's not that good. I'm sorry. Yep. What brought the Silver Age to the forefront was that the competition was DC, and DC was these. Hudat said it the best. He said DC focuses in on godlike characters trying to be human, where Marvel focused in on human superhero characters that had a human element to it. You could relate to a Spider-Man. You could relate to a guy who's a nerdy kid who's always broke and can't talk to girls. You can't relate to a godlike character from another planet who's virtually invincible. And he wears, a pair of glasses, and that's his costume. So he pretends to be human. Again, the human element that Stan Lee was able to bring into his stories across the board was what won people over. And it didn't take but, 6 or 7 years before the sales of Marvel were beating out DC, which was something that was thought unheard of at the time.
Yep.
But that's what created. That's why we're here, because of what they did in those years. The three of us would not be sitting here having this conversation with these good people in the chat.
No, and I don't think even DC would have been able to reach the heights that they did had Marvel not reached where they did. I mean, it's like I was talking about last weekend on here and on Mark's channel with the current state of DC and Marvel and the movies. You know, without in the void of with the void of competition is where mediocrity grows, and mediocrity is going to lead to death. I mean, like you can't survive on mediocrity. So you know, I think that there's a lot to be owed to the creations of Jack Kirby and Stan Lee and the bullpen and what they did there in the early 60s with Marvel. Because I mean, what do you think? Do you think that DC? Do you guys think DC, being the lowly company out here putting out superhero titles, like would that have been enough to really carry on as far as it has now?
Not that with the direction they took, because they were the big fish when that book came out and when Congress held their hearings and, you know, basically made comic books taboo and it was a bad influence and all that. Again, remember, this is the 50s. A very different time, you know, in America. It's today, nobody cares about censorship or anything else, but they were censored. And DC, being the biggest company, they really tamed their storyline. They probably wanted to have some more aggressive stories and issues and, you know, build their characters, but they thought, you know what, let's just play it easy. Let's have Superman saving a cat out of a tree or having relationship issues with Lois Lane. It still sells books, and as long as we're making money, that's fine. But I blame that book for, if there was any creativity to come out of DC in the late 50s, 60s, and 70s, I think it was because of what they were afraid was going to happen to them.
You know, I'm trying to sit here and think of anything of DC from that time period that I've heard of, or I can't think of a single.
That is an excellent question, and I've asked people, like I talked to other shows, FaceTime on the Kingpins. He's a huge DC guy. I've asked him more than once, is there a comic or a series that you would put on the big screen? Even with his knowledge of DC, he really can't think of one. He said Crisis. Okay, fine. I don't know much about Crisis, but there's nothing that comes to mind. Now, when I was a kid, maybe let's go back to that. When I was a kid, comics were 25 cents, and you know, you only had so much money as a kid. And this is the first comic I ever bought. It's still right here. I still have it.
That's
Hulk 197, cool. And it's pretty beat up, but it's the most sentimental book. I'll never get rid of it. But the Marvel story grabbed me, and the DC stories just didn't grab me. And I bought a few, and I thought, you know. So I quickly gravitated towards Marvel. But DC, I don't think, has any stories like Marvel does. Again, when Disney bought Marvel Comics, they bought all that storyline from the Silver and Bronze Age. So the scripts, the stories are already written for them, and they're making a fortune. DC, whoever owns DC doesn't have that. Mm-hmm. Now, do they have to start from scratch? Well, you can't go to the Golden Age. There's certainly nothing in the Golden Age for both Marvel and DC to tap into, unless you go to but you know, we've already seen Batman's origin a million times. Same with Superman's origin. You have to come up with something completely out of the box. Now,
I think their best bet would be to pull from the New 52.
I guess I've not read.
But I mean, as far as anything like, you know, Silver and I mean, yeah, I couldn't even tell you anything. I mean, I know anything I've read DC wise is definitely more of the modern sense for sure, and I enjoyed a lot of it. But as far as like, you know, Silver Age and even Bronze Age stuff, I mean, you know, I've read The Killing Joke, I've read Frank Miller's the Dark Knight stuff, but I've never, like you said, I've never heard people talking about a run or a story arc from DC Silver Age that is must read. You know, I don't hear about a certain writer from a Silver Age that just, you know, everything they touched was just gold, and you got to read this stuff.
I dare say there isn't one, and that's a huge statement given we're talking decades of comic stories that DC didn't produce anything that was worth anything. And that's probably a huge insult to DC. But as you say, if there's a great storyline to put on the big screen, where is it?
And I'm trying to look through my Flash comics to see if there's anything relevant to that time period.
And you've got a very bright chat. Anybody in the chat, any one thing come to mind, please let us know. I'd like to know. I'd like to get into it, because trust me, given the economy as crappy as it is, now's a great time to get DC storyline because they're cheap.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Plastic Man and Zatanna.
Those are just names. Can you tell me a storyline or maybe some issues?
Yeah, I don't know much about Plastic Man. Zatanna, to me, that seems like a niche group of people that get into the Zatanna stuff, kind of like the Vampirella stuff. You know, if you're into that kind of that, but I mean, I don't know. That kind of stuff doesn't do anything for me. But yeah, I knew that's what you had. But I mean, there's a lot of DC stuff from the last 15, 20 years that I've read that I really liked. But
oh man, and that is one thing I will say.
Past that, you know, I mean, like if I could hand pick where DC goes next, it would be Batman New 52.
So that's an interesting topic.
And a whole damn series for the first like 30 something issues, just make movies about that shit,
dude. So this is a good point, right? So I've read a ton of modern DC where I've literally sat and I'll read 100-issue run, and I've done it with several different storylines: Batman, Justice League, Green Lantern, basically any of your major DC modern runs over the last 2 decades where people were just like, you have to read these. I've read them, and I love them. I honestly, if people hyped them up, I was like, you guys were 100%. Like I was never disappointed. But I wonder if my opinion on that would change if I had read some of the Silver Age DC or were to go back and do that. But I don't know of a good pickup point, a good starting point. With Marvel, it's pretty straightforward.
And that's what's so hard with DC too. Like if you're going to start at the beginning, like Jesus Christ, you're going to go all the way back to 1930s, 1940s. And, you know, like that's the one thing I think that is a kind of like Marvel's like kind of got a like cheat code built in, because, you know, you don't have to go back and read Atlas and Timely Captain America stuff. You can start with Cap 100 and go forward.
Yes.
And you're going to be good.
Yeah.
Well, you could almost start anywhere, because the stories were not standalone, but they grabbed you immediately.
Yeah.
Even if you were in the middle of the saga, you sort of understood what was going on because they were so good at relaying what was going on. And Nick, I want that book, so just send that to me today, please.
The No Prize book?
Yeah. Oh, I don't have one.
Really? We had a bunch in a collection.
I'm kidding, but if there's one thing I think I deserve, and this is self-promoting, a Marvel No Prize from Stan Lee. I would have loved to have one. I met him twice. You're in luck. They're doing brand new covers specifically.
Oh God, they're horrible.
Have you seen it? I don't think they're that bad. Hold on. No. Let me show you these, Dan, because you might have a chance of getting one.
Sure.
The cover looks like a damn envelope.
And let's go back to. I had a few comments on DC. I don't want people thinking we're a DC hating show today.
No, not at all.
But we may be hating on DC a little.
But see, I grew up loving Superman, Batman, Flash. You know,
I think we're just talking about preference at this point for you know, the storytelling.
And I think it's because it's so easy to just pick it up. So here we go, Dan. These are the new variants they're doing. This is the whole cover.
Okay.
I need that one because of the Spider-Man.
Yeah. That's the one I'd want.
The Hulk is cool too.
Yes, because that was an old classic.
Yeah. So, but here's my issue with the variant comics. Not to go off topic, right? I think these are pretty cool in terms of just like a one-off kind of like, look, we're just doing something neat. But if this was a one-off thing, no big deal. I think it's cool. But they're doing something gimmicky with variants and homages every single time a new comic book they come out. And I think that's honestly what's keeping new comic books afloat is the variants. It's not the storytelling. It's 100% the covers and the gimmicks. But I'm even as silly as this is, I'm like, you know what? That's very unique. It's a piece of, so I need to get that one.
The variant gimmick is something I thought would have died out a long time ago, but they're still writing on it, and I guess people are still buying it.
Yeah.
I don't know how or why. I wouldn't, it's in some cases, it's a small fortune to get some of these variant covers, and I don't think it's all that worth it.
Yeah, I see that all the time, and there was a point where I know I was there and Nick was there as well. You know, when we first got into it, and I talked to a buddy of mine the other day, and we were talking about how silly we feel like we were when we first started collecting, all the money we dumped into like exclusives and variants, and we're just like, damn, man, if I had all that money back now to sink into a Fantastic Four 5 or whatever, then like I would do it in a second if I could snap my fingers and have that money back to do that with. But now being, and I don't consider Nick or I either one veteran collectors, but we're much more seasoned now than we were at that time. I can't even begin to fathom spending $300, $400, $500 on a book that came out in the last 5 or 6 years because it's got a different cover. When I could buy something that came out in 1963 that has historical significance, not just it's a key. We're talking about historical significance, American history.
Yeah.
And to me, it goes further. That reaches further than just a comic book. You're talking about historical documents at this point.
So speaking of historical documents, I'm fairly certain I'm going to run for Congress for the state of Alabama next year or whenever it comes up again. Literally for one reason: the U.S. Congressional Library full of comic books. Did you guys know that?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Full of comic books, and not just any comic books. Guys.
You need to have a talk with Jeff about that. No, we're talking about. So Jeff talked to me about this. You need to have a conversation with him about it. He'll send you the links for the stuff to read where all of Jack Kirby's original artwork and all of the original artwork for the AF-15s and all this stuff, it just disappears. It's not there.
Yeah.
There was something happening where I forget what it was, but there was somebody was being taken to court over it, this, that, and the other. And it disappeared.
Nick, you should not have told me that, because as much as I know about comics and I know a lot about them, I know way more about politics. If there's anyone that can infiltrate Washington and wander off with comic books that are of value, it would be me. I just need to know how to do it, though. So I'll figure out. I'll come up with some sort of plan.
Library has 140,000 comics already. Just received this year, Stephen Jeppe, 18, Stephen Jeppe, 3,000 more. But we're talking, they have the best of the best AF-15s. I believe they have a Action 1, Superman 1, something like that. They have some original artwork there too. Apparently, some of Jack Kirby stuff is there. I did see that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I saw that earlier this week, and I'm like, okay, I'm running for Congress. That's happening, and. But like,
if they sold that, they could solve the national. They could solve the national debt by selling those comics.
Right?
No, they can't. Not $31 trillion. No, it's like
Rated R comic star hanging out in the house.
Hey, Hyper, love that guy.
You should have jumped in last night, dude.
What, dude? That's sick.
I have become. I'm glad you mentioned that. I was hoping Spike would be in the or Chris Barrett would be in the chat. Because I've become the most unpopular person on that show. I haven't won in almost a year.
Okay. Speaking of this, nobody acknowledged my comments. I think it was because I was just talking a whole bunch of crap. That's what I do. But that guy you guys had on, comic book nerd, the new guy.
Comic book geek, yeah.
Yes.
Alan.
Have y'all seen his collection outside of what he showed?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't have to, but I've heard about it, and so I already knew when I was watching the replay.
So I did a live.
I didn't get to see it last night. I heard that it was a good show, but yeah, I know that dude's got some heavy stuff.
Biggie invited me on his show. Sorry, I just got to interject here because he invited me on a show a few months ago, and this guy was on Ellen and the Doc. And a few other guys, and I'm thinking I've got some Silver Age stuff, and they're bringing out this hardcore Golden Age stuff rare, hard to find.
Yeah.
I was like, my stuff doesn't qualify. I mean, I had a couple Golden Age comics I brought up just to keep pace, but
it's hard to get in the ring in Boxville Man Cave on any of that stuff, man.
So
that dude's nuts.
I did have something. I'll show you in a second. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. So whenever I was doing my comic book room tour live stream last night, his came up, and I didn't know who he was. I've never seen anything about him before, and I see the title: 2022 Comic Room Tour, over $1 million.
Oh, he's got that first. He's got that first Jonah Hex sitting there.
So the only thing I wish is that he would have used a wider angle lens, because like you're getting half the books and it's hard to kind of keep up. But literally, I mean, at any point in time, I mean, look at this.
First Uncle Scrooge,
and look how he has it set up. It's gorgeous.
Whoa! Hold a second here. Hold back. Can you back that up a little bit?
Well, there's
I
no.
have a book here. He has. I put myself in better company. Smurfs 1. I have a Smurfs 1.
Oh yeah, I have that too. Let's see.
I brought it out as a joke of facing Roscoe.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got that.
Now I'm gonna put this in my line
now. So what? And it's funny. One of the comments I made was, "You got to get your stuff out of PGX Labs, dude, because he has quite a few of them."
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's a doctor or something, but like,
I thought Mariner 1's higher grade than his. I win.
We haven't even gotten to the good stuff, dude. I'm literally just clicking around.
But it's all a matter of perspective. I mean, I'm very blessed to have what I have, and there are people that would kill to have what I have. And then I look at Doc's collection or Alan's collection. I'm thinking,
look at that.
Mine pales. Mine just pales.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Look.
Oh, he's got the Batman 3, the Wonder Woman 1.
Hold on, my FF3 is better than his. That's good. I'm not jealous at all. I'm not jealous at all.
He's got FF1, Avengers 2. Yeah,
man, he's got FF1 through 5 just sitting there.
Whoa, are those his boxes? Is that Rolexes in here?
That's awesome, man.
Is that a Rolex? No, I don't think it is. Okay, but anyways, because I was looking for for inspiration and stuff, and then you get to something like this,
kind of see if we have a better grade in something than he does. Like it's gonna it even matters. I mean, just the totality of what this guy has is just the most incredible thing.
We want to make ourselves feel better, even just a little bit compared to this guy.
Well, and you're watching it, and I'm like, I look at that AF50,
and he's such a pleasant guy too.
He's very kind.
Yeah, same here, Hyper. Same here, dude.
No, yeah,
but I mean, to be honest, I truly admire these people because in the end, we're all just preservers of comics, and we're storing them at our cost, and we take care of them. In fact, you guys were talking before I got on the show. You guys were talking about people being so methodical about your gloves and so forth. I don't wear gloves, but I am so methodical about washing my hands literally every time I touch comics, especially when they're raw for obvious reasons. And I don't use lotion or anything else. If I do, wash that off just to make certain nothing gets on, because paper's so damn absorbent. But I'm just so damn nervous about it because you don't want to add to a problem that's already there.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, it's wild, man. So you're right. We're all stewards of these things, right?
We are.
And
I wonder do you remember what grade Richie's Wonder Woman 1 was? I don't. I know he had one.
Nah, I'm not. I don't even want
to. That's an awesome book. I love the cover.
So when I was on that show, I did show them something no one had, and they confirmed I have something very few people have. You can big screen me for a second. Oh, go ahead and finish that off if you're.
Oh no, go ahead.
I showed them this, and it's Oscar Comics from 1947. See that little green?
That's cool.
That thing here under the O.
Yeah.
According to this, you've heard of CGC mistakes. This is an Overstreet mistake. And this is the only one I've ever found because it says what's under here is supposed to be number 26. It was blacked out, and it's Oscar number 3. That's not true. I have a number of these where they say it's the abbreviation for the month of August. Everything about this book, inside and out, including the legal banner at the, you open the first page and there's a legal banner saying, this is from Timely Comics, 1947, the month and all the rest of it. Now, here's the actual number 3 with the font a little bit different. Right there.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the thing is, that is not number 26. As Overstreet says, it's I'm not certain what it is because no one's alive to see what it is, but it's very cool to find a mistake from Overstreet who has always had the biggest database in comics.
Yeah.
And these guys helped me confirm that this is technically what this is Marvel Comics' first variant cover.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So it's a small variant, but it's a variant cover. And I'm the one who found it. In fact, I got 2 others. I have 4 altogether. I find these whenever I can grab them.
Oh, that's cool.
because it's such a rarity. I absolutely fell in love with this series. These were just fun little good girl covers and stories, and so I've got most of the Oscar run. But when I started my collection, I went into directions. I literally found this by accident, but I went into directions I never thought I would. But I've loved the hobby so much. It's just, and again, I have such. It's hard to describe the feeling you have when you have a cool comic in your possession. You don't want to get rid of it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and like I was just kind of flipping through there, looking at some of the ones I have, and I'm like, man, this is why I collect comic books, because of this feeling as I'm looking through these. What's up, Josh?
So what's crazy about that, Dan? So I immediately went to mycomicshop.com, and
I wasn't talking. No big deal.
The scan that they show for that issue is the one with the ink blot. They don't show the other one at all, which is cool.
I have not seen another one. I only have the one with the. And by the way, let's take another quick look at this, because it's worth note. Where is it? Here it is. Here. Look at the number 3. Let's see if I can get that there.
Here. I'll make
okay. There is. The color is different, and the font is different. The number 3 is different.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can see it. Oh, wait, if I get it closer, you can barely make out the abbreviation for AUG dot for August.
Yeah.
It's not number 26, as Overstreet says. So again, a rare Overstreet mistake.
Huh.
I've never seen an Overstreet mistake, ever. Yeah. I've been collecting for almost 50 years.
It's almost like Key Collector, you know. I mean, I've never seen them make one either.
Pause. Yeah.
That's awesome though. Yeah, I mean that's super cool. When you get to find stuff like that and figure that out, and you're like, holy crap, like, you know, had no idea. And then you're not supposed to tell nobody though, Dan. Now you got competition.
I still don't. I mean, Overstreet finally has an online service called what is it called? Overstreet something. They're sort of like Key Collector and Go Collect. And but I don't know if they're bringing in their database, because they have the largest information database regarding comics history out there. Because when I was a kid, you took your Overstreet price guide wherever you went. You never left without it, because that was your guide, and it was up for you in the comic store, or if you were at a flea market, whatever, to haggle out what the comic was worth, what its condition was, and all the rest of it. Then you made an agreement. But both of you had that book, so you had the same source of information. Now it's so archaic. I just get it just because, you know, I've been buying it. That's been over. I think they're on issue 52 right now.
Wow. Do you have the first one?
No. Okay.
Okay.
That's a small pimp. That's a book all by itself.
Yeah. Yeah. That first one is it's extremely sought after, from what I've been able to tell.
Oh, by the way, I brought this out just for your benefit, Dustin. It's a reprint. But just because of the story. I love this. I believe, and we talked about this, is the only standalone FF story. I think for the first 200 issues.
Yeah. And Stan Lee's favorite story he ever wrote. I mean, I've seen that said multiple times in documentaries and videos and stuff I've watched. I've heard other people say it too. And but yeah, I mean, I definitely could see why, because that's absolutely, I mean, I can't think of a story that I've read that as far as a single issue that I enjoyed as much as that one. So,
well, you guys talked about artwork and Ditko and Kirby and all the rest of them, but also let's talk about the writers. By far, Stan Lee was the best writer. By far, no one ever came close to him.
Yeah,
but there were others. Roy Thomas, I think, is one of the most undersung heroes who's still alive to this day, who's still guiding. He's guiding not just Marvel stories, but DC, because when I saw the Black Adam movie, you see him in the end credits because he worked for DC for a while. So he's helping them along. And who was it? Steve Englehart, who did the Defender story. He was a great writer. Who else? I'm drawing a blank on other people who wrote for comics after, because Stan Lee in the late 70s, early 80s he went to, not in the 80s. He left as editor-in-chief, and then he did something else, and then he went to Hollywood to try and promote Marvel, and he left he had to leave everyone else in charge.
Moved him to California.
People like Jim Shooter. Yeah, people like Jim Shooter took over, and Jim Shooter was very much a savant. Came up with Secret Wars. I met him in person. He strikes me as like if you ever watched The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon Cooper, very stoic but extremely intelligent. Not very good with people, but he gets the job done though.
Yeah.
Well, and then you have oh shit, the guy that killed Gwen Stacy, and I hate him, and I hope he apologizes for that one day. Why can't I remember his name?
Oh, what am I drawing? We're all drawing a blank. We're thinking about the same thing. Osborn.
No, the writer who succeeded Stan Lee on Spider-Man.
Oh, Romita Druitt.
Yeah, but
who is that?
Literally, it's in my thumbnail. You ruined
Conway.
Yeah,
Jerry Conway? Okay.
Yep. So in all fairness, Conway, Jerry Conway. He was a solid writer. I still just hate him for the simple fact that he killed Gwen Stacy.
But to his credit, though, he was following along the lines of Stan Lee, where they brought a human element to most of the characters. You saw it with the Hulk. I was a huge Hulk fan when Jarella died, which was his love from the from Hulk 140, which I have here, and I'll show it in a little bit. I got teary-eyed as a kid. I'm like, wow, come on, you were just heartbroken. Same we'll see with Submariner at some point, Lady Dorma. I mean, that's going to break him later on, because we just had the Submariner introduced. And I actually love the most of that movie. I do like Namor, and I understood what he was doing, why he was doing it. Who else suffered? Who was it? Johnny Storm suffered a number of times.
That's like Johnny Storm always has, at least so far in my reading of FF, he's always the one that's being just pooped on, kind of like how Peter Parker was, and that's the only way I know how to describe it. However, whenever they split up, Mr. and Mrs. Fantastic, and she takes the baby and he's left, and then Crystal comes in for a minute, and I'm not gonna lie, that pulled on my heartstrings a little bit. I'm like, okay, Invisible Woman.
I haven't got there yet.
In all fairness, the shit's been out for 90 years. Damn. But I was like, that really hurt my feelings a little bit. I'm like,
and then just dropping hot ones in the chat on me. Come on, dude. No way.
But look how it affects us. It affects us like members of our family, but hurt.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a sign of a good storyteller. And again, Stan Lee set the stage for all this whole thing, and and people like Conway and Roy Thomas and others knew his style, knew what he wanted. So when he passed, you know, the style continued. And he wasn't the only one who had that sort of brilliance. I use the analogy of Gene Roddenberry with Star Trek. He, like Stan Lee, knew how to tell a story. He created something from scratch. And when he died in 91 or 92, I think it was, the people around him carried it on with Voyager and Deep Space, and that was successful. Then it totally went to crap with J.J. Abrams in that version of Star Trek, which has nothing to do with Star Trek. So you can have some great writers and you can have some awful writers. And if you have bad writers, it will destroy a franchise. It destroyed my favorite team to this day, the Defenders. When Steve Englehart started the first 11 issues, they were dynamite. And when Steve Gerber took it over in issue 22, 23, it went to crap. The most powerful team in all of Marvel, and this guy couldn't figure out what to do with them. He even had a group called the Headmen, which is barely a fourth-rate group taking on, again, these powerhouses. And I'm thinking, this doesn't make any sense. And it didn't. The franchise ended, shortly after that. But what a waste when you don't know people who have. It's like you have a great winning sports team. You're on a world championship team, and you get this new manager who doesn't know anything about coaching, and you find up in last place the next year.
Like Jimbo Fisher's doing right now, having the best recruiting class in the entire nation, tons and just bags full of money, and they suck.
It happens.
Highest paid, third highest paid coach in the entire nation, and yeah, I hear you. Defenders is something I want to read because I
have no interest in that.
But it's something that I consistently hear people say had just some fantastic stories.
I may want to get into it after I read through Daredevil, and I say no interest in this, like literally just at this point, I just don't have any interest, not for like I have a negative opinion or anything. But that's just never
I
been
want to
something on my
read.
radar.
When I finish Fantastic Four, when I finish reading that, I want to read what was the I want to read Submariner, the Silver Age Volume 1 run. And when I finish that, I want to read Avengers, and then I want to read Hulk, and I want to read Defenders. Like, I've got specific things I want to read. And
it's going to take you 15 years.
See,
longer than that.
I'm a slow reader, always have been.
So is that.
And I savor every Stan Lee story, every old story that I get my hands on. I'll read 1 or 2 a day, and that's as far as I can, digest, because I want to savor the story. I don't want to just speed through it. I want to understand where they're coming from. And again, Stan has the best way to present a story. But I started as a Hulk fan, and that led directly to the Defenders. That's why I went back. I was reading more Defenders than I was Avengers, even though the Avengers stories were probably better in hindsight. But I wasn't. I bought them, but I didn't read them as religiously as the Defender stories. But if you do that, only read the first 19, 20 stories, and then the rest are kind of mediocre.
On which run?
Crap. Defenders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is like I said, last year, whenever I just kind of sat here and just had this epiphany that I have all these books and I have a YouTube channel, and I don't even know what's in these books. And I started like sitting here by myself, no cameras on, nobody in here. And I'm like blushing and turning red because I feel like I'm just like so embarrassed. I'm like, I'm a fucking fraud, like if somebody was to ask me what was in that book, I couldn't tell them. And now I'm just like, I just need to take and move to a mountain and a cabin with one plug in to keep my iPad plug charged up. And I need to just be there for like a year and try to just consume as much as possible, because like you said, I mean, if I can get through 2, maybe 3 issues in one day, like it is definitely pushing my time to the limit to be able to do that. And I hate that, because I'm like, Jesus, man, there's no way I have enough time in my life left to read the stuff I want to read.
Well, and that's why I started with just 3 a day. And then as you get into modern, you could literally sit and read 10, 15 modern comic books in the same time it takes you to read 3 and literally get the same out of it, right? Because it does. Stan Lee, his writing is so, and it depends on the time, like honestly, how far along and kind of what's happening, but so in depth, and there's so much. Whereas I think now modern comic books, it's and nothing wrong with it, but I think it's more art with the story being kind of the backup. If that makes sense.
With respect, I do think. I mean, there's nothing. How do I put this? If you're looking for content, there is something wrong with the modern approach, because that's the first thing I noticed was not just the they put a lot of detail in the artwork, but the dialogue is maybe a third of what was in the Silver Age stuff. I mean, I've seen 2 splash pages with the word "wow" in it.
Yeah,
come on.
And that's where I've had this conversation with Justin quite a bit, because there is such a big difference between modern art and Silver Age art, and I really felt like around the Bronze Age to 90s, that Bronze to 90s, where the art became the predominant storytelling function over the writing. In my mind, is kind of my experience with it, at least so far. And I guess it, like as far as content, you're absolutely right. But I guess it comes down to personal preference. Some people I could see where Silver Age may not interest them because they don't necessarily want to read; they want to look, if that makes sense. Like they take the term graphic novel to a whole new level with modern comic books, where it's more so just pictures with words here or there, and it depends on the publisher and the writer and stuff. But I really feel like you're doing a lot more. You're truly reading whenever you're reading a Silver Age comic book.
Well, entertainment is entertainment. What I mean by that is that there's always these rules that you should be following. One, if you have an audience, like you have an audience right now, your chat, you want to keep them engaged. You want to keep them interested. And so how do you do that? One, you do a show prep. You guys have a format. This is what we're going to talk about. You have a guest today. What are we going to talk about here? Have some questions ready to go. Have some images. Let's talk about these images here. How about this one here? X-Men 31. Let's talk about this Roy Thomas story, a knockoff of Iron Man, but this may show up in the Armor Wars. You have a conversation about that. But the point is, you keep them engaged. You keep them moving forward. People don't know how to entertain anymore. You don't see it in Hollywood. You don't see it in the comics with the storyline, because again, I bought and I looked and I said, I'm not interested. I'm not buying anymore. So you've lost my interest. I'm not being entertained. Same with music. The music doesn't do anything. Rarely does someone know how to sing or carry a note, or so this is what has been missing collectively as time goes on. And it's kind of sad. And I know I sound like the old guy here, you know, and I'm not telling you.
Well, that's okay, Dan, because usually I sound like the old guy here. So
normally, I mean, you've watched enough of our stuff where we're very much so.
You think like I do?
Get off the lawn kind of deal.
Yeah, that's us. Yeah, I'm already there.
And I agree with you, man. I think that as a culture, it's gotten more to the point now where everybody thinks if we just throw more stuff in, that's all you have to do is just throw more stuff in. And it's like, if you do it right, you can entertain someone with very little. You know, you can tell a lot without, dare I say, saying a word.
Yes, you can with even just facial expression. As you are good. Well, there's this guy on the show called Unkind. He's quite good at that. You might have heard of him. So let me show you a couple. These are, I guess these are bronze copper. Okay, let me get on my own soapbox here. As someone who lived and was buying in the Bronze Age, we didn't call them Bronze Age. They were brand new comics. I think. Excuse me, I'm fighting a head cold. The Silver Age ended for Marvel in the 20th era. It just did. There's a whole variety of reasons as to why, but it wasn't 1970 because there's nothing specific from 1969 and started the next year. No, that doesn't make any sense. Early 73, 74, but the Bronze Age had some very interesting covers and writers here. Here's one here. This is an extremely inexpensive book. This is a Tom DeFalco, another good writer from that Bronze Copper era. And that's Thor 384. And what's significant about this is that this character, he's the only one aside from Steve Rogers and Beta Ray Bill to lift the hammer of Thor the right way. He didn't trick the hammer. He literally picked it up. The hammer deemed him worthy, and he gained Thor's powers. Now, there are other people like Thunderstrike, but Thunderstrike had Odin to help him out with that. Loki tricked the hammer, that sort of thing. Even if you go to Wikipedia, you can't find this character. If you ask who lifts the hammer of Thor, this character, he's called Dargo Couture. This was a $1 book all day, still very, very inexpensive, a great read. And I'd get your hands on it because, again, he's in pretty high company with Steve Rogers and Beta Ray Bill to lift it was a great one-off story. I think he showed up one other time, but they never really followed up on this character. I've always loved this story. And here's another one here, just a fun little one-off. And I love the cover on this. And this is one of those rare cover buys. The story's worth it. And it's solo adventures with Hawkeye. And look at him dealing with, and that's the proper size for the Abomination. He is an absolute giant and a beast. And I guess I'll spoil it for you. Abomination actually loses to Hawkeye, who was considered the weakest Avenger. But it was a great, great story. Again, another $1. It's Hawkeye number 12. Great read for a very, very inexpensive price. Yeah. And I love that cover. So if you do a lot of reading and you do your research and you take the time to do it, you're going to find way more entertainment and value than you thought possible.
Yeah. And that's what I'm finding, right? Is that there is so much. And like, you know, I'm a big proponent of being able to read these things digitally because it's just easier. I'm never going to be able to afford some of these books that I'm reading, right? But it's fun to be able to go out. Like, I didn't even know that was a character. And so now I've got it pulled up on another tab, Thor 384. And I'm kind of trying to look at the synopsis of the character. And I didn't even know it was a thing. So like that kind of stuff excites me so much. That's why I love the Silver Age. You know, you were. I'm sorry to cut you. Go ahead, Nick.
You always cut me off.
Sorry. Well, always.
I mean, I was just trying to find a spot.
Always.
Go ahead. I already got to talk to Dan. You go ahead.
I don't even know where I was going. Oh, some of the joys I find about Silver Age comic books and just reading comic books as a whole early on is you're discovering these new characters and developing this really big appreciation for it. When I started FF4, I had, again, no real personal attachment, never been a big fan of anything to do with them, honestly, like 0%. But it's, you know, it's one of those where you hold it up. I hold it as, you know, just as important as Spider-Man in comic book history, if not more important. And so I start reading it. And I always thought the Watcher was kind of a dumb character, just from the outside looking in. And now that I've read it, I think he's the most unique and hilarious. And there's just something really fantastic, the pun, about this character.
No, you struck a memory, so I'll tell you in a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, but just every time he shows up in an issue, I get excited.
Well, let me say, okay, before, when you thought he was kind of a dumb character, why? Because he just sort of sits there and looks at everything. And
what could be fun about a character that just sits there and watches things? You know what I mean? And he just sits wherever he's at. Kind of reminded me of like the whole Oa. I forget what they're called, but from the Green Lanterns.
Oh yeah. What for those guys from Oa?
Yeah, like they're not very interesting. So I just assumed very similar, just kind of, kind of dumb. He's just a bald guy that sits around and watches. What's the big deal about him? And every time he shows up from, what was it, FF13 on? Yeah, I think that was it, right?
That was it.
I get so excited every time he shows up. But the opposite happens too. I always thought the Inhumans were kind of a neat group. I always thought they were very, just again, outside looking in. I thought they were pretty interesting. Black Bolt was very interesting. Some of the other characters. Every time they show up in Fantastic Four, I dread having to read that issue because I think they're terrible. So
now, you'll forgive me, by the way. You're learning more about my family than ever. My wife's family is coming to Thanksgiving early tomorrow. She's got a huge family. That's why I had to cook dinner and all that. We're doing elderly care for her mom, who's downstairs. So you'll hear maybe a vacuum. What she's doing, a scrubber or something. We're upstairs, so she's scrubbing everything with a. So if you hear that, I'll mute myself.
Oh, we can't hear anything.
So. Okay, good. I apologize.
Oh, no big deal.
Where was I going with all
your memory of the Watcher?
It's a funny story, and Marvel's not known for their humor. One issue that's very inexpensive is What If number 34. It was the funniest. It was it holds up to this day. It was one of the funniest issues I ever had. Very, very inexpensive. I'd love to get a slab of that, but yeah, I have a few of those. So yeah, it's another inexpensive read. Because here's the thing too with the economy the way it is. The economy's crap, and it's going to get. I know we had a change of the guard. What's her name is fired, and she can go deal with Paul and deal with that in San Francisco. That's her problem. But the economy's not going to get any better anytime soon.
No.
So we'll talk politics off the air. By the way, I was on another show with Thoro, and we did a show. We got banned in 2 days. And we tried to tiptoe on what we said. I'm not going to say anything here to give you guys a red flag, but yeah, we got to be careful with things these days. So, but back to the economy. I was watching Comic Tom just before you guys. He does this. I love Comic Tom, but he's too optimistic. Prices are going up, blah blah blah. He finally had to say, "Oh yeah, it's a buyer's market." That's his polite way of saying, "Yeah, the economy's crap, guys. If you have the money, get it." Yeah. So there's a lot of great deals out there. I would still, for any major purchases, I'd hold your fire till. Let's see how bad this coming year is going to be. Yeah. Because again, the Fed is saying all these things are going to happen in a negative fashion. The government still overspent too much money, which is what caused inflation. And yes, we are in a hard recession. So if rather than put a bunch of money on a major key, you can get some really inexpensive books and they're still fun to read. Mm-hmm. So I would focus it because that's what I'm doing. I'm not buying anything major at this point. I'm still buying, but I've lived on a budget. I'm staying on a budget for a while. That's how I kept everything. Yeah. Because when I was a young man, I bought so damn much and then I overbought and then I'd have to sell. And it was just heartbreaking to sell your Amazing Fantasy 15 and your FF1. And, if I had them today, I would have won the hunt last night, but I didn't. So anyway, yeah, you'd be profiling my room. Yeah. With all the stuff. I had everything. I had everything as a kid, but anyway, I'm happy to have what I have, but I'm still, you got to be very, very smart in today's market. Because if you buy something, think very, very long term. You're not going to turn it around that easy as you did 2 years ago. 2 years ago, you could have sold anything in a day. Now it can still be done. Ask Hudat's really good at selling stuff. So he's the person to talk to, but it's not as easy as it used to be. So if you buy anything, keep it, enjoy it, and then store it for a number of years because you're not going to be, it's not like it was not that long ago.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I've been talking about that for quite some time.
Yeah, that's hard.
What are you doing?
I'm talking to my wife about my kid being sick. Hold on.
Oh,
okay.
So it looked like he was having a conversation with us, and he didn't know he was behind or off screen. Okay. So that's why I was like, "What are you doing?" Yeah, man, I need some more STEMI money, dude, so I can buy some more big books. No, but seriously, like I went and dropped all that money on the ASM keys, and then 3 months later, everything was dropping. But those will be books that'll retain value, and they'll go back up. And
you know what sucked? And this is a personal note. Yeah. I never got one stimulus check.
Really?
They never sent me a dime.
So we missed out on. What was it? I didn't get one or two, but I was able to contact them and get it credited to my taxes.
Which, yeah, so I'll get that at some point. I'm holding that in reserve if I ever need it. So
yeah, well, and yeah. I'm wishing I had it in reserve. This year we're going to clear $50K in taxes.
Okay,
that's minimum.
Nothing wrong with that. But you're in a different state. California sucks.
No, really I'm saying like I'm going to have to pay that.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. So I get so look. We could talk about this, and I'd get hot. Man. Anywho.
I wanted to bring up something that Hyper said earlier, and
why are you so loud?
I don't know.
It just did it seem extra loud to you, Dan, just now?
I have to say yes.
Is that better?
That's much better. Yeah,
much better,
dude. It was just like
no.
But nope, that wasn't what he said earlier that I was looking for. Where is it? Oh, here it is, right here.
The minor keys.
No. He was saying, look at the covers, most comics today. This was, when I was talking about, we've gotten to where it just seems like we just want to throw as much stuff as we can. And, we see it in the movies where, we want to just pack as many characters as we can. We're going to just, shoehorn a new character in every movie, whether they fit in the storyline or make it harder to follow or whatever. You see it with the comic books. You see it in regular movies, like everything just seems to be like the more you have packed in there, the better it is. And him saying less is more sometimes. And literally right after I read that comment, Dan's throwing up those Thor books. And when we're talking about cover art, especially like Silver and Bronze Age, especially the Silver Age, I think Thor, the run on Thor as far as cover art, is some of the most underrated, just most fantastic covers. And luckily I've got to see a lot of those from doing elite sales, helping Sean out. He's just got pretty much every Thor book ever written. So I'm looking at these covers, but you look at those covers and you get such a great piece of artwork. You have Thor and a bad guy. You have Hawkeye and the bad guy. And I love the way the art was done during that time period. And we've talked about it a couple of times, from the inking to the coloring, just the difference it makes when you look at it and how beautiful that artwork can be. And a lot of it is just the beauty and the simplicity of it for me that I just absolutely love. And a lot of times when I look at like Silver Age stuff, like the super like crazy busy covers, there's not a ton of them.
Yeah.
But I find myself straying away from that type of stuff more often than not. But if you think about like some of the most iconic covers, as far as just strictly cover art from Silver Age, even Golden Age, I mean, just think about how simple the majority of those really, really iconic covers are. Fantastic Four #1. To me, it is bar none After Action Comics #1, the most important comic book that's ever been written. And I just recorded a video about why I think that. So make sure you guys check out that video when it comes out next week, because I want to hear arguing thoughts or agreeing thoughts, whatever. But I've never heard people talk about how great that cover is. It's very busy. There's a lot going on. You have all the word bubbles and all that stuff. But then you look at some of the stuff like Dan just showed. You look at the Fantastic Four 112. You look at Submariner #8. Look at Captain America 109. Daredevil 16. I forget what Submariner issue it is, but it's similar to Daredevil 16, where you've just got the city below him and he's the only thing in color. Just how simple these covers are. Yeah, right there. I mean, Cap 106. Cap Goes Wild.
Just a classic Kirby cover.
Yeah, just the simplicity of these things, and it just shows like it doesn't take much, and you can create such a masterpiece with that. And it's, to me, that artwork is going to catch my eye every single day. And I don't find that in modern stuff anymore. The more that I have delved into Silver Age comic books.
Well, let's also remember 2 other eras which were born out of the Silver Age that were just as important as the Bronze and Copper Age. They're excellent, excellent reads, and in every era, there's a number of new heroes that you have. Like you have Wolverine from the Bronze Age is probably the most famous, and there are a number of others, and then there are a number of famous people from the Copper Age, so that they grow, and you can have a universe grow and all that and expand. But here's a couple of my favorites here. Bob Layton, another great comic hero here from Iron Man 149 and 150. Just a simple but very effective cover. And the story was dynamite, and then it followed up with another great cover. And the great climax in Iron Man 150, which they did a reprint and an homage in issue 250, which wasn't as good. But Bob Layton is an undersung artist. Now here's another one that we don't talk about as much, and we should. And this goes back to that issue I was talking about with the Hulk and Jarella. Herb Tripp, in his run from the Hulk, this is Hulk 140. Now this is an extremely special story for a couple of reasons. One, this is Roy Thomas' story, and Harlan Ellison, who the late Harlan Ellison, kind of a goofy, out there individual, but brilliant, a brilliant science fiction writer. One of his rare works at Marvel here. They teamed up and created this character here, and then that led into this Hulk 156, and this is the Bill Murray spec. Bill Murray's going to play an obscure character here. I love this story, loved everything about it, and I love the Hulk storyline. And then Jarella dies. I'm sorry to spoil it, in issue 205. I literally got tears, as I said before, when that happened. But where was I going with all this? Oh yeah, again, there's so many artists and so many stories. And the one thing I love about Marvel, and I don't know if this is true of DC, most stories interweave with each other in one form or another. They're really, really good at this. We're seeing this in the MCU where, this is the Bill Murray spec. Bill Murray's supposed to show up as a guy named Krylar. Problem is, this is the nation, or the world of Kai. It's a subatomic world, and Bill Murray is not green, as they all are in that world. All the inhabitants are green like the Hulk, and he becomes their king, and they love this guy. Bill Murray is pale, and he's just shows up as Bill Murray. So that means that storyline isn't going to interweave with the Hulk storyline as I thought it would, because this would have been a dynamite story to get your hands on, because no one's talking about this Hulk 140. And I just happen to have, by the way, this story, by the way, starts in Avengers 88, and then it connects to this 140 here. I have an Avengers 88 and a Hulk 140 and a 9/6 white pages. I have both of them. So those are hard to find as a pair.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, especially in that grade. Yeah, that Iron Man 150 you showed, I had never seen that cover until, what was it, last year, Nick, or was it earlier this year?
Something like that, yeah. Real quick though, before you make your mention, do you guys see what just happened? Like, he's showing the covers, telling you what's happening in the story, then telling you what's happening in the next one, and then here's what's going to happen in 5 issues. That's literally what I'm going for.
Yeah,
and what I'm want to be, because I feel like right now you could talk to Dan and Dan could be like, I know more than you.
And it's I sadly am that guy that you profiled when you first brought me on, walking through the Home Depot.
Exactly.
So be careful if you become that guy. And I'm not I know a lot, but I'm not an expert. But I go to some comic shops and I do know more than they do. And what's the downside? I try not to talk to them, because they don't want to talk to me, because I know more than they do, and it's their shop.
Yeah,
so I'm like, I just say, hey, can I have that?
Well, and that's what I love about I love about Josh, my shop owner, is because I can have this same kind of conversation we're having, where he is that guy where he's not just a shop owner, but literally loves it to his core and has read it. And I love it because, like, he's on some occasion he has that grumpy old man get off my lawn, like with some of these new storylines, and he's also a lot more positive as a person than I am. But I can now have some of those conversations about Spider-Man and Fantastic Four, where I'm in there bitching and complaining about what they're doing now with stuff versus how awesome it was back in the day. And he's having the same
and
I
love
that.
being able to text Josh, and me and him will talk about Fantastic Four stuff sometimes, and we're not just where before it was just I'd just be like, man, look, I picked up this key, and now it's just like dude, like I show him a book I picked up, and I'll be like, yeah, dude, I love this story when this happened, and because I got this book and I love that story so much, I really want to get the next one because it finishes up there. And so, yeah, it definitely adds a much more, like I said earlier, it's a lot more fulfilling knowing what's in these books, being able to have these conversations and feel like you're not just the fly on the wall, and now you're adding value to the conversation. You're able to be a part of the conversation. Because I know I've always been real hesitant to talk to people like Dan or Josh. Josh not so much, because he already knew that I wasn't shit when it came to know anything about comic books. But I didn't want everybody to know that I ain't shit when it came to talking about comic books. You want to talk about new stuff? I was reading the new stuff. We could talk about that. But don't start asking me about these big key books that I'm buying, because I don't want to talk about that, because I don't know shit about it.
Let me make you feel better right here, right now. I've got a friend who just retired. He was a radio talk show host in Sacramento, and we became friends for a number of reasons, including comics, and we talk about it on the show. And you guys mentioned my comic shop. There's another one I'll mention on A1 Comics. They're out here in the West Coast. Great outfit and very reliable. So
Journo talks about them a lot.
He fell in love with the Silver Age Daredevil, and I bought this with him. He's got one, I've got one. He bought a few others. These are great old Silver Age covers. I haven't read this yet. I have no idea what's in it. I know this is the first appearance of the Jester, but I am so far behind, Dustin, on my reading. Don't you feel bad for not knowing? I know nothing about this character, and because they're so expensive, you want to. Here, I have a ritual. When I told you about washing my hands, I've got my place on the desk where my wife and I do our work. If I'm going to read a comic, I'll get have a glass that's nowhere near it so it won't spill on the comic. I'll wash my hands, open the book very carefully and read it. It takes about, 30, 45 minutes because I'm reading very slowly so I can digest everything. And there's that much dialogue in it. And again, I have to comprehend. I don't want to speed through it. So I want to see what the flavor of the story is. And again, the more you know with Marvel, everything enhances everything else. That's just the way it is. Yeah. So you become this gigantic, you start soaking up more and more information. It never really ends. So I've got the rest of my life to read all silver, bronze, and copper age stuff, and that'll be my life's work. And I'm happy with it. The last work I read that I enjoyed was What If number 71. Great story. Another dollar book. It's badly underrated.
I love it. I've read a bunch of What If, and I adore that Volume 1 series, and I think for me, my favorite one I ever read was issue number 2 because of how messed up Marvel Universe would have been had that been the way it went. We would have had no Incredible Hulk, no Avengers, no X-Men, no Fantastic Four. It all would have went away if everything happened in Hulk. Or in that issue number 2, the way it was wrote in What If. And I was just like, man, like this, when I read that, I was just like, I've got to keep reading these. And now they're doing them in omnibus, which is great because you have the oversized format and you can, still read it physically and you got the oversized format. Cause some of those What If books, I put together the entire Volume 1 run in singles. And that was how I was reading them. But some of them, they were so old. And even though they were in really good condition, the ink had like blotted and kind of like smeared on some of them. So it was hard to even make out what some of the words were. So once I saw that they were doing omnibus of it, I was like, man, this is awesome. I was really enjoying that.
So a hyper combo. I've actually timed myself reading whenever I was doing Spider-Man. I literally could read through, it was specifically, if you want to know the specific run, it was Superior Spider-Man. I was up late one night and I was trying to read it all. And I'm a math guy. So I think in my head, how long does it take me to read one comic book and how long am I going to have to stay up to finish this? And it was like, I think Superior is like 33, something like that, if I remember right. But I was literally reading the entire issue And I did this, and I did multiple calculations, but it was like between 3 to 5 minutes each issue, and it was that quick on these new comic book day books because it's just pictures.
Yeah, I mean, like I was reading The Walking Dead when they did the deluxe issues. I was able to read probably 4 or 5 issues in a sitting.
Yeah.
And so when I start reading the Fantastic Four, I'm like, holy shit, dude. I've been reading for 45 minutes and I just got 1 issue read.
But there's a difference between the modern books, which again I read, they're a third on average of less dialogue, but it's not.
Uh-oh, we lost him. He dropped out. We'll wait for him to come back.
Joey said he could do it faster.
Probably, like no lie, but it was late at night, and I turned on my phone timer, and I was timing it, and it was like 3 to 4 minutes.
I think I'm probably like more of a 15-minute modern reader.
Yeah,
but it's got to be something that I enjoy though. Like I still have yet to dive. Like that's another thing for me. I'm reading Fantastic Four right now. I cannot read anything else. I don't have the capacity to do that because I really like it's killing me. I have all of the Walking Dead omnibus and the slipcovers now, and I'm dying to finish reading The Walking Dead. And I'm like, I need to just pause Fantastic Four, jump into Walking Dead for like 2 months, and just blast it out and be done with it. But I'm loving the Fantastic Four so much that I don't want to step away from it. And there's even times where I'm just like, I've got a minute, and I'm like, I should read a comic, and I'm just like, well. I don't know if I can really, I'm tired, and I don't know if I can sit here and concentrate for 45 minutes to read one of these books.
Yeah.
And as soon as I start reading it, it just, I'm so, I don't know the word to use, but I feel like I just feel good, afterwards. And that sounds so stupid, I know, but I just, I'll be having like the shittiest day, which is pretty much every day for me most of the time. And then, I'm reading that book. I'm not really thinking about the bullshit that I have going on that I should probably be worried about right then instead of reading a comic book. But, the Fantastic Four has just been, I don't know. I know that I've been one to change, my collecting style, what I'm collecting, you know how I am. I as much as I hate change, my interests are consistently like inconsistent all the time. And Ryan gives me shit about it all the time. He'll message me like, what are you collecting this week? Or what are you looking for this week? But I mean, I can honestly say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, for about the last year, like I've been pretty like dead set hard on with Fantastic Four. And it is easily, I mean, gone. My love for that has gone past Captain America, Ghost Rider, Power Rangers, anything that I have been just head over heels in collecting. I want to get all the big ones, want to collect all these. Like nothing has given me more excitement in comic books than the Fantastic Four has. And I'm just, I don't know. Nobody will ever be able to convince me that it's not the greatest thing that's ever been written at this point. And that's just, my bias, obviously. I got my Fantastic Four Homer cape on and I ain't taking it off. But I'm also glad that I found something like that, because before it was just like, I was either cover buying or buying the books that were hot, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's all part of the hobby, but for me, I wanted to have something that was with a little more substance to it, I guess. And so having that now, if you don't go away.
Is it a kitty cat?
Yes. My wife shut the door and now the cat wants out. So when I go let the cat out and shut the door, then the cat's going to want back in here.
Lame. But with that being said, so I know what you're saying, right? So it's a dopamine hit once you're reading these books and stuff like that. And that's good, right? There's nothing wrong with having that. And that's the whole point of comic books as a form of entertainment, right? If you watch a really good movie, you feel that way. And these comic books give you a very similar feel to it. And I like, that's why I read like I do in these massive batches, because not only because I'm enjoying the story, but I feel very accomplished afterwards. Like, reading all of the Lord of the Rings, I'm like, that's one of the coolest accomplishments I've ever done as an adult. Very small, but I'm like, that's really, really cool to me.
Yeah.
And reading the manga that I have and the comic books that I have, like, I just feel really good being able to say, look, like, I'm not just a cover buyer, and if you are, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But like, I know my stuff. I'm putting the time in. I'm loving it. Like, I guess it's really rounding out being a collector, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so,
or a comic book enthusiast all the way around.
An enthusiast for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it just, it gives you, like you said, that it just gives a different sense of accomplishment. When I got that Fantastic Four 51 in. Now, granted, that's not the biggest book on the planet, and for most people, you're gonna flip past Fantastic Four 51 and not think about it. And I've done the same thing 100 times, but the fact that I loved that story so much, and I've grown to love Ben Grimm, not just the Thing, but Ben Grimm, the character inside. I've grown to love that character so much. When I found that book and found it in a 9.0, because my thing is I don't want something like that. They're a dime a dozen, but they're always beat up. And I was just like, how high of a grade can I afford? So I found out that I could afford a 9.0, and there's less than 120 of them out there, from a 9.0 to a 9.6. So it's very rare to find one that high a grade. And when I got that book in here, I mean, dude, I was more excited than when I picked my Avengers 4 up. Like, I was, that excitement. I was more excited than when I got my Turtles 1, because that book and the internal part of that book, I had a vested interest in. I don't know, but I felt like I had ties with that book. So to me, if there's a fire and I can grab one book, I'm grabbing my Walking Dead, and then I'm putting my FF1 right on top of it. And if I got to drop one heading out the door, like, the Walking Dead's got to fall, because I'm taking my FF51 with me, But the Walking Dead's another one, How many years did you and I both sit and say, like, oh my God, no way I would ever watch that. And I didn't buy the book based on the show. I read the book because I was just like, kind of like you were with Spider-Man. For this character to have this much love, there's got to be something good in those stories. And that's the way I looked at The Walking Dead. I was like, if people love it so much, and I always hear people talk about how good the books are, like, there's got to be something to it. Let me try it. And I, Walking Dead's probably second favorite thing that I've read, and because of that, I had to have the issue where it came from.
Sorry about the technical difficulties. This is my firebox here. If something happens, I'm grabbing this, and I told my wife you're on your own, so just save yourself.
Yep.
I'm taking this box with me, and and hopefully you'll make it out in
time. I'll show you the comics I would grab. I got them right back here on the couch.
I told Nick last year I'd actually been thinking about it, and I probably should still do it. I think it would be a cool video to do, but making a video of like building a firebox, like, this is the box that I would use, and what books would I put in my firebox, and why am I putting these books in here?
Reggie did that.
It's always changing though, because I have more books that I care about that can fit in this one box though.
Yeah.
So that's my problem.
Yeah. And well, my problem is too, like, I got to the point in my collecting where I didn't really have a bunch of comics displayed. I had, 5 or 6 displayed at a time. And I was sitting here one day and I was just like, man, I'm looking at these short boxes. Nick and I both used to do the same thing.
Yeah.
It was a matter of who had the most. I mean, we would constantly, like, week by week, I've got I just hit over 1,000. Like, oh yeah, well, I'm getting, it was a constant battle. So, but I'd gotten to the point where I'm sitting here looking at all these short boxes, and they're all stacked up on top of each other, and I'm like, I couldn't tell you what was in that box right there.
Yep.
I couldn't tell you the first book in the front of the box.
Yep.
And I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna spend this much money on these books, I'm going to put them out where when I walk in here, I can sit right here and I'm looking dead at my comic book collection, and I can see what I've invested my money in, and I can enjoy it every time I walk in here. So that would hurt my firebox because that would mean I'd have to pull my favorite books off the wall and put them back in a box again, and that'd be hard to do for me to keep it in a box after being able to do what I'm doing now. So
well, and Reggie did that video years ago. Last I saw it was what's in my sugar box or my oh shit box, and it was pretty interesting. But these are the books I would take, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory as to why.
Yeah,
but the first Footprint book, right?
Oh yeah,
that's getting done so much now, dude.
No crap.
Ryan is constantly tagging me in them on Facebook and sending them to us because he somehow finds them all the time.
Yeah. That was
what was this year's book? House of Slaughter?
Nope. That was last year's.
Oh, okay.
I just did hers the other day.
Shows how much I've kept up with that series. Oh, Spawn. There you go. That's a cool one, dude.
But I did it backwards, man. Look, when you're fighting a 3.5-year-old to sit still while she has paint on her feet, which did not do me good because she still got jumped down on the carpet. Thankfully, it washed out pretty easily. But I did it backwards, man. I should have done dark green and light, but it's fine. So that'll go. I'm gonna get that
significant book because that's the first Spawn blank, isn't it?
Yeah, and I had this conversation with Josh today. I was like, I don't know what to use because there's not really a popular series. I try to use a popular series from the time, but I'm like, you know what? This is the first one he's ever done like this.
Yeah.
So, what up, Hudat and Nosh, man? I'm glad you enjoyed the movie, my dude.
So let me display this here, if I may. This you talked about Gil Kane. So can you big screen this one here?
Yep.
I'm trying to figure out how. There he goes.
That's Tales to Astonish number 87. Now it's 9/6 white pages. Excuse me. Now here's what's interesting about this is that I don't know this for a fact. I do know the CGC census has 4 others that are 9/8. There's only 4, but they don't say on the CGC census are they white pages, off white pages, whatever. If all 4 of those are off white pages, and again this is from January 1967. Yeah. I dare say this is the most beautiful comic in the world of this particular book because they're not white pages.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like to be able to find out if that's true or not. You will never see a prettier book. I got this for like, what was it, $250 or something at the time, and now you can't even find these things.
Well, see, you're making me wonder why that ain't a 9/8, and can we get it there?
I don't know. I looked and looked. I don't see a flaw in it, but then again, I'm not the best at grading.
I wonder if there's any notes.
Oh, sorry. I hit the wrong button. My bad.
That's okay. At the time, there probably is. I didn't look that up, but still, that's one I take with me because you can't find another one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
Here's something else, too, as an old collector. And I've literally been storing these for the longest time, and I've kept for decades. And here they are. First, Wrecking Crew. Defender 17, 18. These are both possible 9/8 candidates. And think about this. I've stored them wherever I've lived, kept them in as pristine a condition as possible, but at my cost.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think I've ever taken them out, but I'm afraid to touch them. So I've got them in Mylar and these, over bags, so, but I don't want to go to CGC though. After all the shenanigans, I don't trust CGC anymore, which is too bad because they're still the standard bearer and they shouldn't be. After, they've made a number of mistakes and I'm sorry, they've completely lost my trust and I wouldn't say anything to them.
Yeah, I got 3 books back this week. After I pressed and cleaned them, took pictures, I take before pictures and after pictures and fill out paperwork on every book that I touch, write notes down, including my own. And all 3 of these books, I mean, I didn't even check to see. I think it was like 2 days after they posted the grades before I even checked because I knew they're 9/8. Like there's no other grade they could be. And 2 of them hit a 9.0 and 1 of them hit a 9.2. And I literally turned red. I was so infuriated. And I get the books back and I crack them open.
Dustin being angry, I don't think that's a thing. And also shout out to Chaos and Comics because we're back. We're very positive right now. It's been a very positive. Wouldn't you say, Dan?
As no negativity. He walked in at the wrong time as we're talking about CGC.
Other than, but by the way, did I freeze up or did I just disappear?
You were gone earlier.
Okay, because you guys froze up, and I thought it was you guys, and I thought, wow, I've inherited the show, and I was going to entertain the chat all by
Oh
myself.
no, yeah, you froze.
You were frozen, then just
my opportunity missed. All right, so here's this one here. This is a fun little story here. Fantastic Four number 167, Thing and Hulk on that's the what's that thing in St. Louis? You know, and it's a 9/8. Now, why I bring this up, because on the back of it, I don't know if you can see it, there's like little ripples at the very top, as if it should have been pressed. Now, I don't know if they don't knock that or whatever, but I would not have given this a 9/8. I'm not going to take it back, but here it is. But I wonder, I still don't totally understand their grading system, why they grade things one way and grade things another.
Yeah, they're definitely more lenient on silver and bronze stuff than they are on modern, for sure. Just like with the turtle books, I think, the original 4 oversized turtles and the Rough Out number 1, I think they're a lot more lenient on those too. They definitely, the rules are changed for sure, but depending on what you're looking at. And even now, I bought this, and a lot of people gave me grief because I bought this, but with me doing what I'm doing, I felt like this is a good tool to have. If I'm going to play the game, I at least would like to have the rule book. That way, because that's all it is a game with CGC. It's a game of smoke and mirrors. It's a game of can you catch me? And, if you know what you're doing, they're not going to catch you and you'll be okay. But I was reading through this today, and I noticed that Russell Houdat, he just got a book back that was given a purple label. And I guarantee you, the grader that was looking at this book, they don't know what was done to the book, but looking at the front of the book and looking at the back of the book, you can tell that something was done, because the front of the book it's X-Men 1 or X-Men 3. Front of the book is extremely white, looks fantastic. In the back of the book, you can see where it's got a lot of tanning still left on the bottom of the back of the book, and as you get closer to the top, some of the colors are kind of washed out a little bit. Now, all that happened was it was put in one of the I forget what kind of light, but basically we call them tanning beds. And what it does is it helps get rid of tanning and foxing and makes your whites whiter and your colors brighter. But there's a certain way you have to do it, and you can't do more on the front than you do on the back, because then they can tell you've done something. So, long story short, they gave him a purple label. Yes, UV. What's up, Chris Barrett? They gave him a purple label, and all it said was book has been cleaned. The book was not cleaned at all. And that's what I'm saying. Like, they don't know what happened. They just knew something happened. Well, when I was reading this manual today, which is what I consider it as, it's a great, if this is what you're going to put out, they're going to put this out, and it gives their standards on everything in here. Then this is what I expect the people grading your books to be going by too. Well, when I was looking at this, I found a label, and it was a conserved label, which is like a blue and silver. On that conserved label, it says book was cleaned. And I'm thinking to myself, so what is it then? Is it conserved, or is it restoration? Because the book wasn't restored. There was nothing added to it. And I'm just like, are y'all even making your own people play by the rules that you're telling us to? It's crazy. And then I've got books that are being damaged during encapsulation because it was graded a 9.8, but then I get the book back and I'm like, there's no way that, anybody would have called this a 9.8 with this huge crease across it that happened during encapsulation. But yeah, all 3 of the books that I got back yesterday, I cracked them open, compared the pictures to the issues I found. They weren't there when I sent them in. I know it didn't happen during shipping like that, like they would like to tell you is what happened. But one of the books is, as far as I'm concerned, is ruined, and it's a Cobra Kai number 1, 1 and 25. And a lot of people think that's stupid, but you know, that was a book that I really wanted for a long time. And I finally found someone that was selling one on a YouTube auction. I think I got it for like $30. And that was a book I was really excited to get. And I finally sent it in, was waiting to come back as a 9.8. Well, past few months, that book skyrocketed in price. I mean, hundreds of dollars now for a raw copy. And my copy, basically, it essentially has like a tear right here now. And it's a really dark back cover. And I'm sitting here like, do y'all really think for a half a second that I was not going to catch that shit? Like, come on, man. So it's like, you know, you ruined my book. Like, I wanted that, you know, if I'm going to have a book like that graded, like I only want it in a 9.8. Like, it doesn't make sense to me to have it in anything else. So yeah, that aggravated me a lot over that because, you know, that I feel like we're expected to just go with whatever they say, and whether they're playing by their own rules and standards or not, which a lot of times I don't think they are. We're not supposed to question it, and I think that's why that they have so much power now, and it's almost to the point where we have no voice to question it because we've given them all the power to just do what they want.
See, I have a major problem with CGC, especially last year when Blackstone put $500 million toward their company. Think about it, $500 million influx of cash. And I think that they made a deal with the devil, because if they're going to put that much money into a company like CGC, they're going to want a return. They're going to want 3 to 4 times that at least. So that means CGC is now under pressure to start paying back whatever obligation, whatever contracts they signed to that amount of money. And they're clearly cutting corners. They didn't expand the way they shouldn't have. But we as serious comic collectors, we're stuck because look how much CGC has interwoven itself in the comic market. Basically what they say goes, and it shouldn't be. I've said this before, where there's no arbiter regarding what is a comic grade, what is storyline, little things like Cameo, which is I'm not going to start that thing today, but CGC is the only thing. Yeah, no, I'll save it for another day. But anyway, CGC basically owns the market. I said on our show that with Huda and myself, I said, you know what? I don't trust anything made from 2022 on because I can't trust their grading. I don't trust anything about them. And so I will buy, like I have, you made mention of a purple label. Here's one here. It's a nice Fantastic Four number 12. It's what I don't think they do this anymore. They call this an apparent 1.5. I think they stopped doing that. This is actually way prettier than it looks. It presents pretty well, and I only paid $300 for it. And the reason why I only paid $300 was because there was this unfair stigma of a purple label. If it's restored, something's wrong with it. You know, get rid of it. Well, I'm sorry. For $300, I'm extremely happy to have this in my collection because I've seen these that are trash for like $1,000 or $1,200. But even with all the stuff that they correctly identify in the book here, I trust this because this was done a number of years ago. If they did this today, I wouldn't trust what's up here. And that's the main thing that bothers me the most. In comic collecting, you have to trust what you're buying, trust who you're buying it from. PGX should have been the example. When PGX did what they did, they should have went under. I mean, everyone stopped collecting PGX. Well, that market almost disappeared. I'm surprised they're still in business today.
Yeah.
But word spread quickly regarding what they did, excuse me, and how they did it. Now that CGC is no longer a reliable company, I'm hoping my first hope was that they would have taken a huge step down regarding being the top dog in slabbing. Unfortunately, they're not. They're people are still trusting them.
They set CBCS up. I mean, they literally floated a softball down the middle, and
they dropped
CBCS, it. Closed their eyes
they swung and
threw
missed,
the bat in the other direction.
It was because I was all for it, man.
Yeah,
I mean
they didn't even swing. They just took the bat and threw it in the stands. I mean, didn't even take a swing.
Excuse me.
But I mean,
about that gold.
I've also seen CGC books that were graded. I won't trust a grade on a CGC book if it was graded 2002 to 2004, because I've seen so many books during that era, they started in 2002 grading books. I've seen so many overgraded books during that time frame. I mean, 9.8s on especially like Bronze and Silver Age books where you're looking at it and you're like, there's a tear right there, and then there's you know, creases all over it right here and right here, and you're just like, man, what were we like? Did you guys just jump into it too early? Or, I mean,
what they should have focused in on is what got them famous in the first place, and that was attention to quality.
Yeah.
Attention to detail. That's what won us over in the first place.
Yep.
And once they started to have growing pains, and not every company can grow, because once you have success, that presents a whole different set of problems. Do you expand or die? Where do you expand? Where do you find these people that you can rely upon to do grading? They still, as I understand it, they want people who don't collect comics to grade. I think that's a huge mistake, because they don't know what to look for.
They want the flippers, the resellers, the quote unquote investors, the guys that jumped in with Pokemon and NFTs and stuff like that. Those are the, I think,
Even with my limited grading skills, and I'm overly generous because I have too much love for comics, I could still outgrade these guys because I know what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And I think I called them years ago. They were in Florida. And I said, why don't you guys expand? You've got a huge market, a nationwide market, even an international market. They did not want to leave that one state. They should have went to the West Coast, should have had a place in the Midwest, and even in Canada.
In all fairness, it's probably taxes.
That's true. That's true. But there are.
If we're being honest, it's probably taxes.
Don't come to California. Stop maybe Idaho or something. But we do have a West Coast presence.
Yeah.
You know, another thing.
I'm sorry, Nick, or charge more if you're having a California. Like I would expect to pay more for a California CGC if there has one. I'm sorry, Justin, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, you know, another issue that brings up too with not having people who understand the medium of comic books, being the ones that are grading them, is, you know, you get a book in like that FF12 that you were showing. You know, you've got to treat that book a whole lot differently than you do a Killing Joke #1 or a book that came out last week. Like there's a lot more care that has to go into the treatment and the handling of a book like that, especially if it's something brittle, if it's something. And you know what? Even a Killing Joke #1, something like that. One of these overglossed cardboard, heavy stock covers like that, if they open that book up, if you just give it to somebody and the grader just takes that book and does this with it, well, you have just fucked the whole spine on that book. And then you're going to close it, because you're going to count pages first is what they do. And then when you close it, you look at it and you say, oh, well, shit, there's a crease all the way down here. Well, there wasn't when I give it to you, dumb shit. And I've seen stuff like that. And I'm just like, you know, if you don't have people that can respect the medium and what these books are, then they're not going to handle them with the care that should be done. I mean, we saw that from that video that went a nuclear from Comic Tom doing the video with them in the Superman 1, and the guy's like flipping through it like it's a freaking porno magazine, and he's trying to find his favorite centerfold. I mean, I'm just like, dude. That was
surreal when he did that. I'm like,
so I'm like, you know, no wonder my Cobra Kai #1 has a freaking tear in it now. Like if you and the guy that, and I forget his name, but he's like the head honcho grader guy. He was on with I forget the dude's name. I forget the guy's name. He does that something Wednesdays YouTube channel, and they talk about aliens and smoking weed all the damn time. But they had the CGC guy on there, and that was actually where I found out about this. And they were asking how long it takes to grade books, and this dude says that he tells me they can get that they're like their goal is like 30 seconds on a modern, 30 seconds, and that's to count your pages. They don't check for restoration on them. He said, you know, that was one thing he said, because you don't have to check for restoration because it's a modern book. Right. So they're not checking for restoration. But 30 seconds to get the book out, count the pages, check the corners, check the spine, check your interior, flip it over, check the back. Like I don't care if it's a modern or a Silver Age book. When I have a customer's book in my hands and I'm looking it over. And you guys can ask Russell in the chat who that there, because he almost shit his pants one time when I told him that I had like 185 pictures that I took whenever I was looking at like 3 books for him. And he's like, what the hell? Like thinking, and I've got like a page of notes, and I'm like, no. Like the book's probably still gonna hit a 9.8. I was like, but I'm just saying, like, this is stuff that I'm finding, and this is before I work on it. And but I'm spending 5-10 minutes on each book. I mean, I'm checking everything because my thought process is they're gonna be harder on it than I'm gonna be. So I'm gonna beat this thing to death and find every little thing I can. And I'm just like, how are you grading a book in 30 seconds? I mean, hell, I've had it takes me longer to get tape off the damn bag sometimes.
Dustin, you check some really bad news. I think just hit that may hit you a little hard. Check Justin's text he just sent us, and I'm looking, and it seems like it's real.
Newsflash? Is it on comic news related, or is it news?
It's about Jason David Frank.
Holy shit, dude! No way.
What's the story? I don't have it here on my phone.
That he just died. Very sad.
Okay, hold on.
And I'm looking, and it seems to be real, but we'll see.
Jesus Christ, man. That's not something I would have ever expected from somebody like him.
And again, like, it seems real.
I mean, it's what they always say, you never know. I mean, people look happy and you don't know.
Oh.
He just got a divorce in August, or she filed for divorce. Maybe that happened. I don't know, man.
Holy shit.
But but yeah, like, I would wait till it's officially confirmed.
Yeah.
But yeah. Uh-oh, did he just leave?
Man, that is insane. Well, we just hit a lot of dead air.
Yeah, he's back. There's Dan. So, Dan, before you leave, I was going to get because I know we're coming up on 3 hours, but I was going to get your thoughts and opinions on what to read next after Fantastic Four.
Sure. Before, I wanted to comment on Dustin's comment about the CGC not grading modern comics for restoration. That's a huge mistake, and I'll tell you why. I've got this here, first Hercules. It's a 5.5, beautiful copy, but I also have a 4.5 that has barely any restoration on the cover. And other than that, you can't see anything wrong with it. Now, who's to say you can't get a little bit of color somewhere on the cover of any modern book and it goes undetected, and then they grade it as if it's fact. That's a huge mistake. But let me answer your question here. I will recommend you do what I did. I started with Hulk. Yeah. I went to some Fantastic Four. I bought because I only had, $3 or $4 as a kid, and comics are 25 cents. So I bought Hulk, Defenders, Fantastic Four, Iron Man, and then I would come back with this, I'd buy $5 to $10, and you can stack this big when you come home from 7-Eleven. I just read. Take wherever the storyline unfolds is where you want to go. And one of the things I loved was when it said, you're reading this book here, and it says, something happens in issue 20, then go to issue 20 and find out from there, and then that'll spill to something else, and then it'll say, go to Fantastic Four, something, because they all interweave with each other. Mm-hmm. Just take it one step at a time. The mistake is trying to oversaturate and read too many things at once simultaneously. Let the stories unfold by themselves, and that's the best way to appreciate them.
Well, and that's kind of and that's kind of my thing, that reading, because like I did with Spider-Man, literally that's all I read for like 7-8 months. Well, I guess closer to 6 months, because I finished it June, July, so 6-7 months. But that's literally all I read. And every once in a while, on like a Sunday or something, I'd take the day and I'd go to coffee with my wife, and we would I would read other things outside of that. But I wasn't able to really focus. But the way I've been doing it and really like it is to just read an entire run, right? So I'm reading all of FF right now, and then I'm seriously so this is what happens, right? Because every time a character shows up in a book, like Hulk, every time he showed up in Spider-Man, it was always one of the funnest stories. Every time he showed up in Fantastic Four, it's always been one of the funnest stories. But so I really want to get into reading The Incredible Hulk, but then I'm like, okay, do I need to go back and read everything before? What was it technically like? Because it was Hulk, and then it jumped into what was it? It turned into something, and then went into Incredible Hulk around 100, 101, something like that.
Oh,
right?
It was Tales to Astonish.
Okay, so like, should I read it that way, or should I just immediately read what's Hulk run and then jump?
You don't have to be linear, and that's what's great about this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can jump around, and they all sort of interweave. It's like having a 1,000-piece crossroads puzzle, jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah,
one piece at a time. You can work on the top left section, then go to the southeast section, and here's what you're going to find. Because I know you buy digital stuff, but let's say you've read the Galactus story, and you see it on your computer, whatever medium you have it on, but it's nothing like having this.
Yeah,
if
for
you
sure.
have this as a tangible story, this is actually this is when the barrier was erected, and
I don't care what nobody says. That cover is awesome. I don't care if it is brown.
Yeah, that's bullshit about the. I'm sorry, I don't swear in the air. That brown cover was gorgeous. Same with the Tales. Speaking of Tales to Astonish, 93, when he and the Hulk Marie Severin cover where he's on there, and that's an absolute gorgeous cover.
Yeah.
So, but again, look, you have a wonderful time ahead of you. Take your time, go whatever direction it takes you. And there's a bunch of things I never read. I'm backtracking now after all these decades. So if you don't feel like you're missing out on something.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So don't put any pressure on yourself. Just enjoy it at your own pace.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, for me, it's like I'm so different from. I'd say I'm so different. Like the way I think and the way my mind processes stuff, I feel like it's so very literal and I come at everything from a very analytical, like calculated way is a good way of putting it, right?
Okay.
So I got a game plan it. I got to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and this is why and how. So I've always had a hard time of being able to jump. You know what I mean? So, and that's why I'm kind of doing it that very linear way, so to speak.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut off your thought.
Oh, you're good.
But here's the thing, though. That's how the story was. They just made these things up as they went, and they jumped and jumped and jumped. So there was no linear fashion, from the storyline.
Yeah.
And these are fun little stories. You're gonna love stories like this.
And I love that stuff too.
Oh yeah. You're gonna love the art. You love everything about it. So you don't have to feel. In fact, it's a mistake to do this in linear fashion. If you read all Fantastic Four and then stopped, then you went to all Hulk and then stopped, you'd be missing out because things were happening simultaneously at the time that these stories are written. So, well, you guys, I'm watching both of you. You were really entranced by this story here.
It's good. I don't see anything confirming it. Like a couple of people on Facebook talking about it.
Now, who's this? I don't know this person. Can you give me a background for those that don't know?
He played the original. He was in the original Power Rangers, the Green Ranger. He's like
What's his name again?
Jason David Frank.
Oh, martial artist. I have heard of him. I looked him up. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and the reason why it's a big deal to Dustin is because, so we've met this guy. We've had several.
I've met him multiple times and rode in the elevator with him last time we were in Lexington. And
wow,
my kid loves him too. But but I'm not seeing anything.
I would say it's like a childhood hero of Dustin.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I saw that text come through, I didn't mean to look disinterested, but I was like, no. And before Dustin saw it, I was like, let me just see if I can find anything. But
I swear, I thought you were sending me something saying that CGC is doing restoration for pressing books or something like that. I was just like, that's what I was expecting. You know how things go. I start working on something and then it's like, oh well, damn, there's a big obstacle that just let the air out of my balloon. But
speaking of martial arts, I get to have a lot of fun tomorrow morning where at my studio, I'm a 4th degree black belt, and we're having 7th, 8th, and 9th degree grandmasters showing up and giving a seminar. So
that's cool.
I'm going to have I have so many questions for them because, they've been through it already. So that's going to be fun for me.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. My son loves his martial arts, man.
It's great.
He's been doing great in it. He's been in it for a little over a year. He started out in it's basically like they're tiny tots, and
yeah. How old is he? How old is he?
He just turned 7 a couple weeks ago, and he moved up to the big class. And within a matter of like 6 months of being in that class, he's one of the kids that leads one of the rows, and he's got more stripes on his belt than kids that have been doing it for years now, and he's got a line of kids he's responsible for and stuff. So he's doing really well in it. He loves it.
Yeah. I have not done anything to do with it.
Yeah. Who that said, dude sent me an essay on my books. But that's all right though, because them books all came back A-okay though.
Who dat? Do you have FF13 in a low grade that you might be looking to part with?
13 red. That's the Red Ghost.
No, that's the Watcher. I've talked myself into wanting that book now.
Yeah, Red Ghost, First Watcher. Yeah, same.
Dan,
book.
for whatever reason, you're muted. We can't hear you. Nope, it's gone. We can see you moving. Okay. We could read your lips. Be right back.
But yeah, the Watcher appeared in that issue with the Red Ghost, remember? Because they followed him to the moon, or he was going to strand him on the moon or something like that, and they ended up getting into the Watcher's house. But I want that book too, but not for the Watcher. I like the Red Ghost and the gorillas.
There we go.
All right, are we good? Okay. Yep. Dustin, what martial art is your son in?
So I don't know what he's actually doing. I know like on Thursdays and Tuesdays he goes to jiu-jitsu classes.
Okay.
But
not Taekwondo?
No, I think it's just I'm ignorant to a lot of it. I mean, as far as I know,
that's fine.
It's karate.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
But I do know that they do special classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he'll go to those now that baseball season's over, and he's doing the jiu-jitsu stuff. So,
well, I have volunteered as an instructor for 14 years, and I do it because one of the things that's missing in society is discipline from our young people.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot of discipline, and that's the one thing that young people don't have is focus and respect for each other. And so it's a labor of love. And I'm under, my senior instructor died last year, and I had to tell his senior instructor, who's an 8th degree grandmaster, they both told me the same thing: teach.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, I mean, this is like your dad and your grandfather telling you you're it, do your best. And how do you say no to that? It's a much longer story, but it's a labor of love. It just is. And I'm a firm believer that one person can't change the world, but you can help your community.
Yeah.
So I've been volunteering in with this, and I got into politics. That was a waste of time here in California, but at least I try to help out, and But that's if I could recommend anyone who has young people, pick up a martial art.
Yeah,
they'll improve overnight.
Yep, absolutely. And there's so many other aspects of your life that you can apply, like you said, the discipline and just there's the stuff outside of the physical aspect of it too. I mean, even with his baseball, they were teaching the kids, they were doing push-ups on their knuckles. My kid's 7 years old.
Yeah, cool.
And he's doing some, and it starts hurting. And I saw one of the older boys was talking to him. And he's like, be in control of your own body. It doesn't hurt if you don't let it hurt. And they teach them the same thing. When they're supposed to be standing in line, they're supposed to be still. And at attention. And they start wiggling around and, being goofy. And, he's like, hey, control your body. You are in control of your body. There's no reason why you can't do this. And, it's like, I start hearing them teaching him this. So when we're coaching baseball and I see him, goofing around the field, I'm like, hey,
control. Kyle, have a good night, buddy.
So it's definitely cool to see the correlation where you can transfer a lot of that into your everyday life too. So.
Well, Nick, you had asked the question I didn't really answer. Has this been a positive show? And I'd say absolutely. And one thing that doesn't get mentioned regarding the positive element of comic books is, when the Harry Potter books came out, it got a lot of accolades for getting young people to read, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. Comic books help me read, and it helps a lot of people read. There's a great value in sitting down and opening a book. I don't care if it's a, War and Peace, or you're sitting down and opening Fantastic Four. You're reading something.
Yeah,
you're focused, and your mind is growing, and it builds the imagination and helps your understanding of the English language. There's no downside to it. So again, this is I love coming on these shows because it's for me, things are so awful these days. I need something to be happy about, and collecting comics is one of the main things that makes me happy these days.
Absolutely. Right there, we definitely can agree. Yeah, I mean, this is the only thing that I do read. I've never been a reader, even when I had to do book reports in school, like if it wasn't some shit I could watch a movie on, like I was just taking an L. And I told teachers that I'm like, I'm not reading that book. And they're like, you have to. I said, I don't have to do shit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Look, I have no formal education whatsoever, but I can speak before a crowd of 1,000 and speak coherently, with confidence. Especially,
I'm not going to go that far, but
well, especially in politics, because nobody knows anything out over here. I was the expert, sadly. But
I
anyway,
don't think I could get 4 people to listen to me talk, much less a crowd of 1,000.
But again, this is a love for me, and I'll never give it up. And I'm not ashamed that I haven't read the Shakespeare or anything else. Maybe I would have been 30 years ago, but at my age, knowing what I know, and I've talked to some extremely intellectual people, and they have great knowledge in their head, but no common sense.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wait a minute, then if in some aspect you've gone down your life incorrectly, so you don't have to read the heavy the long-haired stuff, if you will. I'm happy reading comic books, and that's my read for the night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I feel like if I'm able to read a great deal of the Fantastic Four Volume 1 and Avengers and Hulk and Thor, and be able to have an abundance of knowledge on a lot of these characters, and Batman and Superman and stuff like that. Like, to me, that would make me feel a lot more accomplished than being able to say, like, I've got a doctorate in psychology of the human mind or some shit like that. Like, I don't give a damn about none of that.
Right.
But you want to talk about Batman, bro? I can talk about it.
Yeah, those people are running the world. Look at the job they're doing. So yeah. So guys, I know we're ending it. Let me end on this note here from my perspective. Nick, you had a very good question. What's the next to read? So let's do this again at another time. Since I've got, I'm well read in this world here. Let me assemble a number of books. We'll put them on the screen so the chat can talk about them, and I'll give a quick little synopsis overview of the book, where it interlinks to another book, and that sort of thing. Okay. And, it's just a clue for others to say, hey, I'll pick up that one. Let's see if I like this one, and so forth. There's a lot of things to talk about. It'd be a fun, interesting conversation, and people love looking at covers and, artwork and that sort of thing. So I'll assemble that for our next show if you guys want me back on.
No, Dan, we will never, ever have you back on again. We don't ever enjoy talking to you at all.
I thought this just reminds me of the Hunt.
No, I've really enjoyed the way we've been having special guests on to talk about specific things recently. It's been definitely fun, and you're definitely we had TJ on last week. That was awesome, and having you on for the second time, it's you and I, we've had conversations all the time, and on the Hunt, texting back and forth. So it's always a pleasure, man, for sure.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Yep, and certainly appreciate it.
Well, I think that's
trying to think if there's anything else I was going to ask or talk about.
Save it for the next show. I don't know why I keep dropping out of this feed you guys have. So
it's no worries.
That's right. That's right, Ignacio. Dan the man for sure.
Ignacio, good man. Thank you.
And Dan's always popping up on tons of other channels too. You want to talk about where people can come? Talk with you.
I'll be on with my brother Hoodat. Russell and I have a show on Ian Hoodrat's show every other Monday. and you talk about some heavy hitters and some dynamite information. We were happy to have him on the show because he practically doubled our knowledge just by having him on. He's just it's hard to describe him. He knows business, he knows the comic market, and he knows comics. So he's just a good man to have on. So we're talking mostly this Monday about the Black Panther movie. There's a lot to unpack, and so we'll save it for then. But Monday at 8:00 Pacific, 11 Eastern.
Awesome.
Sounds
So you
good,
guys
man.
make sure you go check that out. Ian Hoodrat's channel with Hoodat and Dan talking about the Black Panther. We talked about that last week and had TJ on. And then I actually went on and talked with Mark and those guys about it on Sunday. And, through talking over the movie 2 nights in a row, and I kind of went back and listened to some of what I was saying. I was like, I guess I enjoyed the movie more than I really thought I did. But I was more surprised at the parts that I enjoyed of it, that I went into it. And it wasn't even something I considered being something that I mean, it's not like I went into it expecting not to enjoy Shuri. But I've never looked at Shuri as a character that was just ever a really big deal to me. But she was absolutely my favorite part of the whole entire movie. So that's just my little thing in that one. But I don't know if we're gonna have the Babylon next weekend, guys. Like I said, 'cause I know Nick's traveling back and forth, and I don't know how busy our Saturday night's gonna be. But if we're able to, then you guys will know it because we'll just be on here. So
and I may drink too much coffee and just decide to go live randomly, look at people's stuff. But no, I do already have a couple videos edited for next week, so it'll be fun.
Cool. And I've got that Fantastic Four one that I'm looking forward to getting out too. Like I say, guys, make sure seriously, I would love for everybody to watch the video that I did about Fantastic Four #1, and I'd love to hear some thoughts and conversation on that, to know if I'm just making stuff up in my head or if I've actually come to something in my head that makes sense. So I've talked with a couple of people about it, and they kind of agreed after I convinced them that they were wrong. So you guys watch that video and drop some comments. Let me know what you think. So
hey, Hoodat, let me know about those books. Like I said, I'm not going to buy it tomorrow, but I am looking for some leads because I know that's one of those books that just doesn't come up all the time, especially in a low grade. And I'm going to pay GPA. I'm not going to be that guy that's like, oh yeah, well, 500% over GPA. That's not me. So don't send those guys my way. I'll pay a fair mortgage.
I got a first appearance Silver Age FF coming from Russ. Swapped out some work with him. And by the way, guys, I will swap pressing and cleaning work for comic books.
Appreciate you, Hoodat.
I will do it.
He'll swap other things too, other favors.
Just don't tell my wife that's how you got your books pressed and cleaned, because she'd be up here counting, like trying to figure out how much money's supposed to be coming in.
What do you call it? Are y'all gonna have
It's okay, because somebody won a contest.
What did Ryan call it? The lady Booba, what was it? I don't know why that made me think of it.
I don't know.
I think Dustin was getting ready for the Unkind thing, and then Ryan, Comics and Death Metal, Ryan was talking about, it was some wrestlers. Anywho's,
Getting
not
ready
relevant.
For the Unkind thing.
Not relevant.
I posted on my IG, speaking of what you want your wife to know and not know, about how much I spent on comics, and I said, just when you're not trying to let her know how much you're spending on eBay, this package shows up in your front door, all wrapped in eBay tape and all that. So I'm like, dude, come on, can you make it any more obvious? So
right?
Yeah, she doesn't. She would care if she actually knew how much I actually spent, but
my wife quit questioning it whenever every single day for the last 9 months I've come home and there's been 3 or 4 packages on the front porch for her every single time. Every single time. Yeah, FF Annual 6 did go down like really bad in price, and Annual 3.
Nick,
they're all going down, guys. All the comics are going down across the board.
Yeah, let's be honest. Like nothing's going up right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't have bought the book that I got in this week this early, except for there was no way I could risk losing that specific copy because of what I'm going to do with it. But I still paid $300 under GPA on it. So, I mean, it was, I still did good. But I mean, yeah, Nick and I talked about that last week. That was like our main point of conversation was, is it time to buy or should we continue to wait it out? And I think for a lot of stuff, you're going to be you're going to be thanking yourself if you waited out just a little longer for sure.
Well, the big thing with go ahead, Dan.
I was going to say my advice is buy if you have the means, and only if the deal presents itself.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't, if those two curriculum aren't there, don't buy.
Yep.
And the last thing is, if you do buy it all, it's long term.
Yeah,
very long term.
And buying it, the closer to Christmas we get, the better the prices will be.
Yep.
As shitty as that is, I mean, people are going to be selling books to pay for Christmas. So
yeah, even after Christmas,
you're not going to have as much competition.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I'll say with Dustin is his pressing and cleaning. You just got to watch him. Dude starts sending out pictures with his feet on your books, and it's just
that's me.
It's strange, man.
Yeah, that's me. I'll show you my damn carpet.
I mean, he'd just be putting his feet all over your books. So y'all keep that in mind. He'll Tyler your stuff.
Well, the worst wish I saw was Biggie putting his Hulk 2 in his underwear.
No.
Yes, he did. He put in his underwear on the show. He had it in his underwear. Yes, it was no joke. He had it in his underwear. So the value of that book, well, it's up to the person whoever decides to buy that book.
That right there, very important, folks. Very important.
Yikes.
Very important. And don't just look at the front and back cover, guys. You got to open these raw books up if you're buying them raw and look at the inside. Inspect your books. I was working on one today for a buddy of mine. It was actually Brian, the guy that I bought Nick's first Mary Jane from. And I was looking at a Fantastic Four 18 first Super Scroll. Not a cheap book at all. Fantastic looking book. I was thinking 7580. And I opened it up, counting pages. As I'm counting pages, I'm like, oh, somebody filled in one of the subscription panels in one of the pages. And I flipped the page. I'm like, oh, somebody decided to take a blue ink pen and draw in the outline around the Invisible Girl because, it was just dotted lines in 5 panels. And I'm just like, damn it, man. Like, this book would have been a freaking killer when I got done with it. And
how bad does that affect it, though?
Well, I was trying to find in this manual how I thought that they would handle it. If it would be something that would be considered color touch, or would they give it, what I really wanted to know is, were they going to give it a green label, or was there a chance of it getting a blue label with just a lower grade? Because it also had, he wasn't aware, but the top staple was detached from the back cover, still holding the front cover just fine. So that's definitely going to affect the grade too. So I'm pretty sure he's going to end up with a green label on it. But again, had he, if he bought it in person, had he saw that in there, he could have A, not purchased the book, or B, he could have definitely gotten a much better deal on it. So, if you're buying them online, as soon as you get them in that day, inspect that book inside and out immediately. That way, if there's something there you don't know about, you can get your refund. If you can't wait, 6 months down the road and then try to get a refund. And if you're at a con looking at them in person, make sure that you're opening those books up and looking inside, because you don't want any surprises later on down the road, man. Find out that books are, I had a Hulk 181 that was given to me from a buddy of mine that he runs a shop. And I asked him if it was, you got your Marvel value stamp in there, it's good to go. He's like, yeah, I've been through the whole book, it's complete. I was like, okay, cool. So, he's a comic guy, he owns a shop. I literally and then I felt horrible because I didn't go behind him and check. I just took his word for it. I'm like, he knows what he's talking about. And it came back missing an entire wrap and had color touch on the front. I'm expecting to get a 4.4 or a 4.0 or a 4.5 back on this book. Comes back up. What did it come back, Nick? A 1.0 or a 0.5?
It was something very weird, yeah.
It's 0.5. 0.5 green and purple label. And I was just like, damn it, man. So obviously there wasn't, he didn't, put that on me because, he was like, he even wanted me to crack it open immediately because he's like, no, they're full of shit. I checked everything. And so I got out a 181 facsimile and videoed flipping through the wraps to show him. But yeah, it was indeed incomplete. And I was able to, I still haven't found the color touch on it. Like, I don't know where they saw it. I'm going to take it to a buddy of mine that's really, really good at finding that stuff, especially when it's hard to find. But yeah, I've caught a few things for customers. I found some stuff on the books for Jeffrey Henson. But like I said, the one time that I didn't go behind somebody that it said it was complete, I should have, but I didn't go behind him. But
let me tell you guys a heartbreaking story. And when I started my collection about 9 years ago, one of the first books I bought was this one. And it's a really pretty one here, and I paid $600 for it. I thought, wow, it was a lot of money at the time, but I thought, wow, here's a good one to begin. And I had this in my collection for the longest time until recently. I shout out to Swagglehouse because he found something similar where he opened the book and he didn't count pages. The center page is missing in this. So the value went down by like 75%. I was heartbroken. I've still made money on it. It's worth more than $600 because it's in great condition and it's signed by Stan Lee, but is not complete. Doesn't affect the story or anything, but still, this, I mean, at the height of it in 2020, 21, this was probably $5,000, $6,000 book. Now it's maybe $1,500 if I can get that, but you know. I've got a bunch, by the way, that I need to go through. The biggest culprit is Silver Age books. You got to go through your Silver Age books.
Yep, for sure.
I'm just saying. Sometimes people have definitely made money off of my efforts.
Pays to have friends in the right places, high places, Dustin.
I was talking to a buddy of mine today about that. I was like, I said, I'm much better at helping other people make money and making money for other people than I am making it myself. I said,
I am too.
I said, it is terrible. It kills me. Like I was helping out Sean the other night on an Elite Comics 11 sale, and I noticed that everything kind of gotten stagnant. Nobody's buying stuff, and so I go over and I start jumping in. He's got thousands of books. So I start jumping in his long boxes, and I find a box of books that he's got put away, needs to be pressed, cleaned, and graded. And he's got like 40 of those hip hop variants that were going nuts. And I'm sitting here like, you've got like 500 of your own books that you're talking about you need to get graded. You got like 6 customer boxes over here. Like, we about to sell these books, dude. You ain't about to get these things graded. I don't know who you're kidding. So I take them and I start pricing them out. And I hand him the stack, and he's like, no. I was like, yeah. I was like, you ain't never gonna get them graded, dude. I said, every one of these will sell right now. You'll put $2,000 in your pocket, or you can sit over there and let them just rot to death. And I'm like, but I ain't got the sense to do that to my own stuff.
See, I excel at I'm really good at that projects and jobs that I make no money at.
Yeah,
I'm an expert at that. But my own work, I'm not the best businessman. I'm good at my trade, but not good at running a business. That's two different elements here.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what it is that's got me. I'm like, damn. I think I just got like a gray cloud stuck over me sometimes.
I do say it's easier to be a comic collector while being married. Yeah, you have a good wife, and she doesn't read comics for anything. But it's I find it's way easier being married to have a good collection. Don't ask me why. When I was single, it sucked.
Yeah.
Oh man, too funny. All right. Anything else? Any other comments? Anything?
Thank you for having me on, gentlemen. This has been great.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Always, man. Always is.
I'm crashing hard from this guy. I thought this coffee was going to have me up all night. It's what, 12 o'clock here now? Just give me a bankroll. We will make some money. Yeah.
I got to get one first. All right, guys. Well, hope everybody enjoyed the show. I feel like we had a great conversation as always.
Fantastic.
Having Dan around. Glad Nick got to finally experience having that conversation with Dan, and glad that we got to do that. I'm looking forward to doing it again. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure that you hit the thumbs up on the way out. And like I always say, if you're not subscribed but you enjoyed the content, hit the button. It doesn't cost you anything. Just make sure that you get to see these semi appealing faces pop up on your YouTube app as you're scrolling through. And but yeah, we appreciate everybody. We're gonna draw for a bro box probably on the next stream. I think we need to draw for October, so that'll be the next one we do. Make sure you follow us on our platforms, especially the TikTok, because I'm trying to get us to 1,000 followers on there so that I can live clean in to try to get people to use my services. So definitely just using that as a means to an end. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Two Brothers Comics and the Comic Book Chiropractor. And you guys have a great week. Make sure you look out for the content.
And as always, your moms.